What's up, everyone? What is up? How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? What's up? Hope you guys had a good Wednesday. Hope you guys had a good week so far. Um, so I wanted to watch this Nick Fuentes versus Dean Withers debate. It was, I think, it's about a month old. I wanted to check it out. I've been wanting to, I have not seen many of, or if any, debates with Dean Winters. So I might Withers. So I think it might be interesting, and I wanted to watch more of Nick Fuentes' content to check him out a little bit more. Okay, I'm still on the fence with the man, so I don't know a whole lot about him still. So I'll figure out checking out, but I also have some certain fun topics, or possibly fun debate topics if anyone decides to they want to come on and join and have a real rain. What is up, my brother? What is up? Dean is sour cream in human form. I want to check it out, right? I mean, the little bit I've seen him, I kind of agree, right? The little bit that I've seen the man or boy, uh I'm not a huge fan of him, right? But I wanted to check him out. I wanted to check the guy out and see what he's what's he like, because I have not really watched any debates or much content on him, so I wanted to check him out. Well, let's get started.
I'm a reactionary Trump supporter. Well, I was a Trump supporter, not so much anymore, but I'll be defending Trump.
Because, I thought that you were voting for Trump. I don't really see much use in it if you're not voting for Trump. I mean,
well, it's worthwhile because I'll argue that people should. I'll just argue that Trump is better than. I think that Trump would be a better president, but I'm not going to vote for him.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So we can argue that.
Yeah, I guess we'll start there. I disagree. Okay. One of the main reasons why I did.
I'm assuming this is probably an older stream, right? So I guess this is before the presidency. So
disagree. We could come out of the gate swinging. Is this economic policy? I think that it's pretty clear, and we could probably both agree on this, that the average American should be doing better than they are today, and they should not be doing worse than they are today. Donald Trump's proposed economic policy will make the average American worse off with his tariffs. And then his TCJA for another 10 years disproportionately benefits rich people. It will also just add reckless spending to our debt. It will inflate it even more than it is today. I think there's an estimate from the CBO putting it right at $5.8 trillion. He has no fucking plan how he's going to pay for it. Then we look over at Kamala Harris, okay? Her proposed tax policy so far is $2.4 trillion. She knows exactly how she's going to pay for it, and they're designed for 100 million American workers in the low and the middle class. And it's going to make them better off. Donald Trump's going to make them worse off. Argument's clear.
Okay, that's it. It's just the economic proposals. That's all you got?
We can start there.
Okay.
Sure, we can reference other things too. I didn't want to just throw everything at you at once.
Sure. Well,
multiple things.
Yeah. Well, let me address all that. I mean, so with regard to the tariffs, J.D. Vance pointed this out. The Biden administration continued many of the Trump era tariffs. So that's kind of a moot point. I mean, I don't know if Kamala's going to. Of course he did. Of course he continued.
They continued the tariffs, but it's not a moot point. I disagree with the Biden-Harris administration because they continued the tariffs on China. But what Donald Trump is proposing today is a 10 to 20% flat tariff on all goods imported into the country. Right? I could say that any and all tariffs are bad.
Now, let me say this. Right? This is probably before the whole. 18 months ago. I've never watched it, so I didn't know anything about this. So I'm just checking out, right? See if it's good. I mean, we could always flip to other stuff. So because Wednesday's live stream is very very fluid, right? So we could, I mean, like, if there's anyone who wants to join, we could debate certain things. We could talk about other things. So I'm very Wednesday's live stream. I don't really have much of a plan, okay? Because I kind of want to keep it a little bit fluid. For anyone who wants to join in, we could have a debate, a conversation on anything. So, I just found this video today, or I mean, like a couple days ago. So I wanted to check it out. But um, yeah, I mean, Wednesday's live stream is a call-in show, right? I'm. Oh yeah. Let's see. I almost forgot. So, like I said, Wednesday's live stream. I want to dedicate it to a call-in show. So, excuse me. I don't know why. Give me a minute. Yeah. So Wednesday's a call-in show. So I want to give it a bit of a be bit fluid. So if anyone wants to join, we could. I don't know why. What's wrong? Anyone can join. We can have a conversation on anything, right? On any topics you guys want. I have an opinion on pretty much a lot of things. Not everything, but I have an opinion on a lot of things. So we can always have a discussion on anything you have. I don't try to have a particular topic because honestly, sometimes I don't have anyone, right? I don't have anyone that wants to jump on. So I don't think it's like the wisest idea to have a set topic because the call in nights is not like I have like dozens of people waiting to come on. So that's why it's very fluid. So like I said, uh the link is in the chat. The link is in the chat if you guys want to join. If you want to talk about this, if you want to talk about anything, I'm always down, right? You've guys seen my content. Hopefully you have, or hopefully you've seen my 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 mobile live stream where I have a bunch of prompts. We could always debate or talk, have a conversation on those. But yeah, so it's very open ended.
Right, but a 10 to 20% flat tariff on all goods is worse than tariffs on goods imported from
I
China.
don't think it's a flat tariff. Is that actually the policy? I don't believe that's right.
It is, right? I think that JD Vance was talking about this last time. I think you could reference his own policies, talked about it multiple times in the past. If you don't think this is,
it's only on certain countries. There would be no 15. That doesn't make any sense. There'd be no 15 to 20% tariff.
Now, yeah, I was talking about Trump's tariffs, how it's become, right? What I'm so far now. God damn it. sorry. Now, so far with Trump's tariffs, a couple months in, right? I mean, pretty much almost a year in, right? Well, pretty much a year. A year in. So far, it's not the most craziest thing. He's gotten certain countries to come to the table to negotiate better deals, right? Better deals for America, potential investments to America. So right now we're still figuring it out, right? Nothing is concrete yet with the outcomes of Trump's tariffs. So the weird thing was that Dango, what's up, my sister? The weird thing was that I specifically remember Kamala's economic policy being questionable back then. She wanted to tax on unreal capital gains for assets and price controls for groceries. I'm totally against that, right? The whole tax for unrealized capital gain, absolutely idiotic. I think that was stupid. Price control for groceries, I don't think that's a good. I don't think that's a really smart thing. So she wanted to penalize private property owners, which is Marxism. I mean, that's the thing where I didn't care for it. Yo, Artie, what is up? you know, again, I want to say this, right? My Wednesday's live stream is more for call-in, so I make it fluid. Nothing is concrete, right? Nothing is concrete. So, since I'm saying that nothing is concrete, nothing is concrete, I'm always down to switch things up, right? I'm always down to switch things up. Yeah, I never really listened to the man, the boy, so I always want to check it out. User, uh, if user, if you don't want to react, I mean, if you don't care what I'm yapping about, you don't have to stay. But if you're down for a debate, I'm always down for, having a conversation, a debate. The link, if you guys want to, you know, Artie, that'd be good. That'd be cool, right? I'm always down. I have some debate or topics that we could talk about. Might be fun. Rain, what is up, my brother?
How you doing tonight, man?
I'm chilling. I'm chilling. How are you?
Oh, not so bad. My team won this weekend, and I saw you got my boy Nick Fuentes on the stream, so I had to hop on.
I want to check it out, right? This might be a pretty old stream, but I wanted to check it out, see a little bit of, because I've never really watched Dean's debates or anything, so I just wanted to check it out a little bit. But I'm always down for having conversations about other things or checking out other things. Wednesday's live stream is very flexible, so.
So you're not really familiar with Nick like that?
No, I mean I've seen this is. I think this is the third time I've seen the guy.
Okay, so from what you've seen of him so far, like, and this is kind of like if anyone wants to hop on and debate this, I would say Nick is the best thing happening for young men in America today.
For me right now, I'm I'm still on the fence about it, right? So I'm not. I've not watched enough things to have a good judgment on it. So that's why I'm taking a little bit more time to check more of his stuff out. So
Yeah, and like with this interview, I think what Artie, I don't know what you're talking about, Artie. I watch soccer, not NFL.
yeah, he's talking about soccer. He's a soccer head.
Yeah, but like what Nick does in this debate, because I've seen this one, is he like systematically destroys Dean. So it's going to be a gem.
Now, if that's true, I think I like that a lot.
Oh yeah, trust me.
Mr. Smith, what is up, my brother? Thank you for being here.
But even if that were the case, fine. Let's say for the sake of argument that's true, because I don't know the Trump policy. They keep saying that Trump is going to put in place, they're calling it a consumption tax. A consumption.
Dango, if you if you hop on, I would love to. All you need to do is a mic. That's it. That's all you need, right? All you need is a mic. You don't have to cam up, right? I'm always flexible with that. The link is pinned, right? Pinned at the top. The link is pinned at the top of the chat. If you want here, this might be fun, right? I don't know if you want to have a debate on this. Let me check something. I want to show because Dango's a young woman. It might be fun to debate a little bit different. So if you would be interested, I have some, a few. I mean, so far it seems like you are more like-minded to us than other things. But if I have some maybe interesting, fun debate ideas, I saw this sentence, right? I wonder what you guys would think. What do you think of that? What would your opinion be?
Too hard to handle. That's just like an odd wording.
Jeremy or Alan. What's up, my brother? What's up? What's up? How are you doing? Again, I'm always willing to switch up the live tonight because I was just going to watch Nick Fuentes, but versus Dean, but I'm always down to have back and forth with other people if anyone wants to join. Um, Again, nothing is set in stone, right? We could always have little fun debates and conversations on certain things, but probably not this. Not probably not that it seems. Okay, what's up, Dango? What's up, my sister? What is up?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can
Yeah,
hear you.
Yay. Okay. So you guys wanted like my opinion on this?
Yeah, let's have a little
Okay.
conversation. I'm always down.
I'm gonna say upfront, I'm a little biased because I had really painful periods in past, and I'm diagnosed with PMDD, which is like a mood disorder associated with periods. So I'm biased. But for me, it's gonna be hard to to say that because a lot of like women, they have like painful periods and endo and stuff, and that's chronically like underdiagnosed. But because of that, it's gonna be hard to like prove it, right? So I had like doctor's notes and whatnot, so I could prove it, but on like a national wide scale, that might be a little, yeah.
Okay, well
So
here's my here's my opinion, and let's see what your thoughts on what my opinion is. Okay, so my opinions, and I know I've had girlfriends with heavy periods, right? So painful and whatnot. So I do kind of understand it, but here's my opinion on it. So the question is, do you guys think women should get time off if their periods are too hard to handle? Now, opinion, I'll say no, right? I'll say no. Why? Let me give my premise of no. Because here's my thing, okay? We are in a period of time pretty much equality, in my opinion, okay? Where I mean, unless you say this, unless you're saying, oh, let's attribute this to, let's say, I don't know, a timeout or like a doctor's note or what is it? What is it? All those kind of thing like a time off, like you do it like a sick day, right? Unless you want to put this as a sick day, okay, fine, because men or women they can use sick days, perfect. But if you want to use this as particularly a special treatment to only women, I'll say no, because we created a society, particularly because women pushed to create a society where you want equality. You cannot then say you want special treatment for certain things. I'll say this, right. I want to preface this that I do understand. It's biology. So
mhm.
I feel bad for that. But again, that's not the world we live in. You're not necessarily catering to really biology, or I don't think you necessarily should. Right. It's just what's equal to both. Right. What's fitting to both. So you shouldn't be do special treatment to one person and then the other person is the norm. So,
Yeah,
in my
that is.
opinion, because of the society how it is today, and because how women are the ones, particularly for fighting for it, they push for it, the equality, they should not be getting special treatment. So, what do you think there?
Yeah, I agree because with like conditions like endometriosis and PMDD, they're more like chronic conditions, and they're outliers. They're not super common. So they're more like medical conditions, if anything. And the term with the wording, get time off if their periods are too hard to handle. It does it could mean a lot of things, you know. So that's why I'm not exactly on board with the idea of like letting, because it's not
yeah.
really measurable.
Let me just add too, like, because I was kind of like confused by the wording of that too. But like, and I know this is you're probably gonna be shocked with what I'm about to say, DA. But like, I think if we're going to respect the Muslim call to prayer 7 times a day, then we should be kind of respectful of female biology in a certain aspect. And like I know as women get older, their periods get more let's just say harsh. So I think there's a middle ground to work on with this where it's like I don't know if it should be like necessarily called like time off of work for too hard to handle, but I think it should just like I think being more mindful like of that, if that makes any sense. Like
Well, here's my thing. I don't agree to that either. I don't agree to giving someone, let's say Muslims, 7 times a day to prayer, particularly if it's within work hours and stuff, right? I mean, if it's your own business, you do what you want. But if you work for a company, you work for a business that's not your own. I don't think that's right because then why don't you? I don't know. Have a way for, let's say, people of other religions, right? I mean, there's no that's why I don't agree with that. I personally, right, we have to I believe in consistent logic. So if you're going to make special treatment for one, you need to make special treatment for everyone, right? And I think that's the slippery slope that sometimes we have to watch out for. So I don't fall for that. I don't fall into that camp where, what do you want? You want special treatment, or do you want to be treated like equals?
Oh, I like to bump in, but I think for me, I think it's better if we like if it's like, in my opinion, it's like quantified in a way. But about all these things, because in the end, it's like companies, how they work and how these laws are applied. It's basically bureaucracy. So the more specific it is, the better. So if we keep things like general, um, like it's just how things work, and it's not like basically companies respond better if they could just like just follow the law basically, and it's just specific. It might be offensive to people, I guess, if it's that strict, but it's just how it is.
I agree.
and you know what, like to kind of piggyback off of that point, like if me giving a Muslim 7 breaks a day makes them like 1,000 times more productive as a business owner, if you're saying like give them like 7 5-minute breaks a day, that's basically giving them 7 cigarette breaks a day. And so like if you're saying like I will get more if women can show me that by giving them time off of work for too hard to handle periods will make them more productive in the long run, I will have that conversation with them. I will.
Well,
So that's kind of
I mean, I can see your logic, right? I mean, like, yes, to each. I think I would say this: to business, for each, to each their own, right? How you run your own particular business, that is up to you, right? So if one business decides to do this, that is the business prerogative. Now, if it's like law, right, or regulation, then that's where I'll probably say something, because then you can't be consistent in that, right? So that I could say that I could understand that, right? If how you want to run your business, yes, that is up to you. And if you find it, oh, it's your business is more productive by doing it, then yeah, that is up to you.
and I'm 100% agree with it. It should be it shouldn't be government mandated, but I don't think businesses should take the option out off the table.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. But personally, based on how like the laws work, I don't see something like this being adopted anytime soon. And with like a lot of companies, like I think probably smaller businesses would probably do this. Maybe bigger businesses, they'll adopt for like the optics. But yeah, it depends on the company culture and whatnot. So
Mm.
it, yeah, that's what I think. It's not going to be adopted like women getting back to work, going to work in like in the 1960s or whatever.
Hmm. Okay, I mean, I guess we're we it's a good conversation. We got the, what, Dangle, could we I mean, thank you for being here. I always love the things you've said on
Um,
stream, so
thank you.
much appreciated. Uh I would. I mean, if you don't mind, I would love to listen a little bit about you, about you being a, what is it, a 23 year old woman. Why would you? Again, I would love to learn more. Why would you have the logic that you do? Right? It it's very unique, right, for a woman to have a lot of perspectives, particularly one your age, right? You would not. You would be. It would be pretty common for someone your age to have very drastically different ideas than channels like this. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
It's because I guess this is kind of like a masculine idea, but ever since I was like young, I believed in like independence basically, but not independence like from people. Not, it's not like that. It's more like just learn on relying on yourself, and not relying on others for your own needs. And growing up, like I didn't really enjoy like all these like social games that the women around me just did. Like growing up as a girl, like you just befriend other girls. That's just how it is. You're a boy, you befriend the other boys. And I didn't really like the those type of games. Like I wanted to be myself, and I didn't want to like play like certain social identities just to gain approval. um One of the most popular ways to like, I guess, signal s- s- status in a way is just pretend that you're like you don't have status at all. And then I don't really like that. And then also subtly flexing as well. So I just I wanted to like not how do you say this? Like I think there's like a good Fight Club quote that says like the the things you own, they'll eventually own you, or something like that.
Oh, I'm a
And
fight club.
basically by outsourcing my like need for validation for in like marketing companies and other people, I'll never be happy.
Hmm.
So I always looked into myself, and I'm really interested in philosophy and philosophy is written mostly by men. So
Hmm.
yeah, I learned to just be humble.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that I deserve anything in life and I have to earn it
Wow.
myself. uh and a lot of women, they're the way they are because that's how they're kind of trained and raised, and that's how they're rewarded. But for me, I don't think those rewards are truly rewards. They're basically conditional rewards. You have to basically kind of like erase yourself to basically gain others approval, which changes over time. In my experience, it waxes and wanes, kind of like the moon, you know.
Hmm.
And that's not, it's not a reliable base for you to um build your identity as a person. So I rather rely on myself, and what I focused on was working through trauma. Of course, that's important because
Hmm.
a lot of people have trauma. Working through trauma, not relying on other people for it, because when you do that, basically you just reenact trauma cycles and what you've seen in your like parents or whatever. So that's not good. So I had to work on myself, shadow work basically, and also developing virtues like patience, temperance, discipline, um, and more that I don't that's not coming up to my head. But yeah, that's why. And I also question myself a lot, and I don't think I know everything. I I ask other people what they think, and I try to learn from other people. Yeah, that's mostly why I think.
Wow. Phew.
Thank you.
That's not your typical woman. I'm sorry. That's not your typical woman.
No, that's not your typical young person at all.
Yes.
So
So,
you have no idea how wise you are because you basically quoted Nietzsche and Carl Jung.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, because like when you're talking about like the shadow self, that's like a Carl Jung philosophy.
Ah, yeah.
Like even the do you know the rock band Tool?
Oh no.
Oh, okay. They even wrote a song about that. Like, but yeah, like you're so wise, but like you said something very interesting that I kind of want to touch on. If you would allow me, Da.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
You said that there's not a lot of female philosophers, and I kind of want to. Why do you think that is?
You know, I'm not. Basically, the ones I know. Okay, I gotta say this. I'm Buddhist too, so there's that. um, and I'm ethnic, ethnically, I'm like Vietnamese Chinese. So Confucian,
Ah, our Vietnamese
Taoism.
sister. I'm
Yeah.
Vietnamese as well.
Oh wow,
Shout out.
wow. Yeah. So Confucian, Taoism, Lao is a guy, Confucius a guy, Buddhism, uh, Buddhist, the Buddha was like also a guy. So the the philosophers in my culture, they were men. Um, so why there's uh,
Well, let me
what?
my opinion, right? Something that you
Mm,
just said too, and it kind of shows me why, in my opinion, why there are not female philosophers.
mm,
Self-reflection, looking within yourself, right? Again, this is why I'm so you are so amazing. I mean, I'm gonna give you props, right? Dango, I'm giving you props because I'm sorry. Like, if you watch my stuff, that is one of my biggest gripes about a lot of women. They do not self reflect. They do not
mhm,
hold themselves accountable. They do not look within. They look without, right? With outside, outside validation, outsourcing validation. They outsource. I mean, like, the world, right, is the problem, right? They are the victim instead of looking within yourself. I mean, like, everything you said was not the typical woman, not the typical young person. So this is why, again, it's pretty much the opposite. Why there's not a much female philosopher, because they're not looking within. They're not looking within humanity, right?
mhm.
So that's how I view why there's not many female philosophers.
And you know what's also crazy is you both told me you were Vietnamese.
Mhm.
Your philosophers have the same philosophies as a German guy and a Swedish guy that probably never even intersected in life. So these philosophies cross cultural boundaries and like all these boundaries. So it's kind of interesting to hear that. Like, you don't even know who Carl Jung is, but like you mentioned his philosophy through like someone else from a different culture's philosophy. And that to me is actually kind of dope. And I learned something new tonight.
I mean, Dango just gave me hope in the female gender. So
Well,
yeah,
let's follow up because Dango, you say you're young.
20. She's
Yeah, I'm
23, right?
23. Yeah.
So what is it like? What are the youngsters saying about Nick Fuentes?
I'm not sure. I'm not really into um I don't really go into those type of spaces. I mostly on YouTube. I mostly look up like political stuff. Yeah. Mostly foreign policy. So
Okay, well
I'm
then,
not really sure what's going on.
well
Oh,
then let's react to
Oh,
it together. Let's all of us
there
react to it together and see our opinions
there
on
is
it.
something interesting I like to say though.
yeah.
I discovered MGTOW when I was like 14.
Why
Like
would a
in the
14-year-old
early
girl cover
no
MGTOW?
no actually as early as like I think 12 I think I saw a video online of this guy getting divorced and his assets getting taken away by his wife and he was depressed and I brought it up in front of class. I was like, guys seem to get screwed over in divorces, and that was with a bunch of like kids that were like I don't know, like 11,
I'm
12, and
amazed.
the teacher was a woman and they all gave me like a confused look. I was like, oh, so
You
that's not a thing, okay,
you
whatever.
are quite unique. You are quite
Y-
unique.
yeah, so yeah, I noticed that trend like happened years ago back then. And back then men were like just talking about like how they were the divorces and just lamenting about it. Like there wasn't a make out or anything back then. It was just like, oh, this happened to me, that sucks. And yeah.
Okay, then I love it. I love it. Alan,
Oh, yo,
Alan,
am I on? Yo, what's going on,
yeah,
bro?
What is up?
What's going on, fellas?
Hello.
How
Hi.
you been?
Hi, Dango. What's up, real rain 89? Real talk. Anyway, how you boys
Did
doing?
you see the question? You see the question I just posted up before?
I did not see the question you posted up before, but I did hear a question about good old Mickey Fuentes that I would love to answer from Mr. Real Rain. Are you a fan of Mr. Fuentes?
He's
I
a fan.
think I
You're a
think he's
fan?
an
Fan?
I
Okay,
think he's
cool.
very evil.
You're not a fan?
I'm intrigued by his work.
Hmm.
I agree.
If that makes-
Do you watch him?
Yeah, because I'm not going to form an opinion on someone and not watch them.
Yeah, no, that's real. Me neither. I felt that.
So yeah, like I watched him, and like I don't watch just the clips. Like I've watched some of the Rumble streams,
Yeah, no, me
and
too.
some of the things like when he gets clipped out of context, I think it's absolutely crazy that like they don't like watch it before or after, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes he's just responding to a super chat at times,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
and sometimes like he's just going off the cuff, but it's like the Candace and Tucker thing that he did a few months ago.
I watched that, yeah.
So it's like Fuentes is an interesting character to me because he doesn't attack unless he's provoked.
Ooh, really? How much
When,
of this guy's streams have you watched? No offense.
when was the last time like he really attacked someone without being provoked?
When you say attack, do you count like attacking a specific person or just like
When,
attacking people in
when
general?
when someone attacks Nick's,
Right.
when someone personally attacks Nick is when he goes on the offensive. And that's to me like how men operate. Like you attack me, I'm gonna
Yeah,
attack
yeah.
you.
Do you think that the people that died in the Holocaust attacked Nick personally? Because I watched like about 3 hours of his stream and he brought up that the Holocaust wasn't real about 4 times, which I
Well,
thought was
Oh,
odd. Do you think that
that's
they attacked him?
you're actually
That's
you're
not even a gotcha. That's real.
Alan, you're really misquoting him because what he
No, I'm
said.
not.
No,
He said I'm not misquoting him. I watched the whole thing.
no, because what he was saying is like it's not a matter of whether the Holocaust was real, not real, or anything like that. It was a matter of we're not allowed to talk about it with skepticism. Even though if I were to say to you, "Hey, Alan, how many people died in the Armenian genocide?"
What is
Can
that?
I
What do
add
you mean?
something?
Drake,
Yeah,
what's
what's
up?
up, Jack?
What's up?
Hey, so on Nick Fuentes, right? I'll give a little bit of background of myself first and why I feel the way I do.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a 25-year-old white guy, half Hispanic, but I look white to everybody.
Yeah, he ain't white.
Um, so basically, how it feels for a lot of guys my age is like we've grown up and been accustomed to think, like for the most part, white guys in history have been pretty bad, right? And
the audio quality isn't good.
Oh.
so the thing is, like, the majority of us right now that are
Hmm.
alive today,
Yeah,
we didn't have anything to do with this. And
I
I
agree.
think Nick is really expressing that frustration that a lot of us younger guys have, that a lot of this has been targeted towards us when in reality none of us have really, all of us were we didn't choose to be born white, and I would never go on the offensive on somebody just because they were born black. I was grown up in a different time that didn't have all that conflict going on, but now for some reason everybody our age who had no real experience with terrible racism like that, like in the Holocaust for example, none of us have experienced that. So I really don't understand where all the frustration stems from the racism aspect of Nick Fuentes. For me, he's really touching on a lot deeper of a subject as like how corrupt our government blatantly is and none of us are doing anything about it.
Mm.
Yeah, kind of piggyback off of that, Drake, Alan, or like
Please explain to me why, like,
no,
actively, like,
I'm,
okay,
I'm
his audience, his audience is young, probably younger than me, mostly. Like
It's
I want to explain because I agree with you. I think that we are being blamed for a bunch of stuff that we had nothing to do with. I very much agree with that point, and it annoys me, even as a lefty. But like, does that really like explain to me how teaching? I mean, let's be honest. It's mostly people 16 to 20. Do you think that teaching them that a thing that happened, that it
Well,
didn't happen, and if it did happen, it actually wasn't that bad, and kind of it might have
Well,
been
I
justified
don't
a
think
little bit?
he's
Do you think that that's a
necessarily
good thing?
teaching them to think about it any sort of way. I think he's just like he's trying to be lighthearted and comedic about it to kind
Yeah,
of lift the hostility out of the conversation because look, it happened so
I know,
long ago and we need to be able to
but the
openly talk
conversation.
about these things so they don't happen again.
Right, but he's explaining it as, I mean, do you think that Holocaust denial in its general form, satire or not, is a bad thing?
I think all of us with a sensible brain believe the evidence behind the Holocaust legitimacy.
Right.
However, I can't
So
put
do
a
you,
finger on the accuracy part because
yeah,
I
and
feel
that's
like I've been lied to by my government my entire life.
Wait,
that's not government though. I mean,
can
it's
I
hey,
okay.
just
please?
Let,
one
let,
second. Let me get this point across, if I may.
Okay,
There's a difference
um,
between Holocaust denial and Holocaust skepticism. So
he said
you,
that it didn't happen. I heard there's actually a part in the Dean Withers debate that he said that the Holocaust did not happen.
well,
no,
Alan,
well,
just let
wait,
people finish their point first.
Okay, okay, but I'm just saying
I
yeah,
like
but
to
like,
talk, please.
there is a difference.
go ahead,
um,
Dango. You're
okay. Um, First off, I
Hey,
like to
Dango.
say, the U.S. did not join the war because of the Holocaust. It was because of Japan. I'm sorry, Japan. Um,
Yeah.
and actually, I think that surveys back then showed that most Americans did not care about the Holocaust. That was happening. They were aware of it, but they didn't care. It was because back then, most Americans were skeptical about joining another European war that
Yeah.
they had no relation. They were not involved in. Like for example, like World War II is space oh my god, it's basically an extension of World War I, and as quick history lesson, the reason why U.S. got dragged into World War I was because Germany um, said to Mexico that tried to get Mexico to join it to help invade the U.S. or something like that. It's called Zimmerman or something like that. I forgot.
Hell yeah. Zimmerman
That's
telegram,
why.
yeah. And then they sunk one of our boats, and
Yeah,
we were not happy
yeah,
about that.
yeah, yep, exactly. So, but yeah, most Americans were skeptical about getting to the war, and then after World War II, that's when the Holocaust thing um, was. That was how we, I guess, explained away our participation in the war. But when the men joined the war, it was for fighting fascism mostly. So basically,
Yeah.
Germany fighting fascism, and also to I guess be a war hero and get in some action, and also fighting for a country. That was it.
yeah,
And
well,
being back in Japan. Yeah, that was it. Those were the main
Yeah.
reasons.
No,
The
yeah.
Holocaust is
yeah,
kind of
no. I'm just saying,
inconsequential.
before you say your next thing, because I think I can kind of answer your question before you ask it. I want everyone to be skeptical of history. I have no issue with being skeptical of anything. Look into it. Do the research. It's awesome. Dude, be skeptical of literally everything you ever see because it gets you to do more research and learn more about the subject. I think that's awesome. I do think that telling young people that a thing that killed a whole lot of people that and a lot of survivors still exist today, that it didn't happen is bad. I think that that makes him, is satire or not, I think that that is a bad way to run a quote unquote political show.
But
Well,
here,
uh, let,
but before that, right? Let me. But I want to say this, right, Alan. You got to understand.
That's my whole position. That's my only position. That's all I'm
I,
saying.
I don't think that young white men are listening to Nick Fuentes on his views on the Holocaust. I don't think
Have
that.
you gone on
Yes.
Twitter? Have you seen
Yes,
Twitter? Have you
Even if
seen his
exactly.
handle on Twitter?
even
Are
if
you
he, no,
serious?
even if
Like
no,
you
but
act,
even
whoa.
if he says that, I think that this is a thing where I think a lot of young men are not. They don't agree with everyone 100%. So yes, they may listen to him, but it's not like that's why they listen to him.
A
Because I've
hundred percent
seen
agree.
the
Do you think that is a good thing? Do you think that it is a net positive for anybody to be telling that to young people?
But here's the thing where you can't, I mean, this is the problem, right? You can't control everyone's viewpoints. But
Of course
that's the
not.
thing where, yeah, so they don't.
But I'd
I
rather
don't
he
think.
didn't do that. I think that it would be better if he just never said it.
Well, that's up to him, right?
Therefore, I do
But I
not
don't
like
think
Nick
that's
Fuentes.
why.
That's my whole.
That's
That's
not why he gained the following he's gained, right? I've
it's
seen some
also
of his,
because of a whole lot of other stuff.
yeah,
Yes,
a whole lot of stuff, and
but
those
I
I
think that
don't.
it's bad that he sprinkles that in.
Well,
Well,
here's
That's all I'm
here's
saying.
kind of it boils down to the fact that in
Do
America,
you
no
disagree with
matter
that? Like
what you
honestly, do you
say,
think that do
you
you think
should
that
be
that's a
able to
bad thing to
say
say?
it.
I agree,
Look,
100%. That's why I love Nick
whether it's
Fuentes.
good or bad, because our rights are
I'm
kind
not
of
trying
being
to censor
infringed
him.
upon.
I'm not trying to
okay,
censor him, but I think
okay,
that he's bad a person.
let's
time.
I can agree that you could have an opinion of your own on Nick Fuentes. Yes, you can think he's bad. I don't agree
Sure,
with
sure.
everything he says. I didn't
Yeah,
like
sure.
how he said women shouldn't be able to vote, but
That was my
there's
next
some
thing. I
things
was gonna
about him
say.
that are politically just progressive and it's enticing to young men.
Well, like, let me get to the point that I was trying to make to Alan earlier. Alan, how many
Yeah,
gypsies died during the Holocaust?
it literally does not matter. I understand this point. I
Hey,
understand this point. I
no,
do.
no, like you're saying it does not matter,
I do
but
not
then
think that it does now.
that we're not allowed to be skeptical of the number that we're giving. So if it doesn't matter when
Okay,
that
so
group is slaughtered and we don't have the numbers, but we're supposed to believe this number has been slaughtered, and you're
that's
saying
very
it,
understandable.
you're
I think that my position is that I have not scanned through all the documents, so I cannot say for certain for any of these things. All I'm saying that I think that
you're accepting the
to do a blanket statement of it didn't happen and if it did, it wasn't that bad is bad.
and if you notice,
That's my
I don't
argument.
think it's very skeptical to think that some German guy 70, 80 years ago, high on meth, could have got the numbers a little mixed up on the paperwork.
Yeah,
You know,
I don't think that's crazy either. I'm not saying don't be skeptical. I'm saying to say that it didn't happen is ridiculous. We can all agree on this, correct?
honest, no,
yeah,
but
yeah.
So to
like,
say that to young people who are definitely not going to look it up themselves and just take it at face value, do you think that is a good thing to do?
how many gypsies were killed? You just said it does not matter. So you're doing Holocaust now by saying it does not matter how many gypsies fucking died.
I'm
Do you
saying
know
for
how
my
many-
argument in this, I can look it up right now, but I don't. It doesn't help my argument. My argument
no,
is that I
no,
don't think
see,
that it's good
but
to
you got
release
right.
it.
You got to think like this, right? But wait, guys, you got to think like this. Right? How you probably how Real Rain's thought process is. I think a lot of young men don't care, right? Great. I mean, yes.
I think that we
Should
should
he be
care.
sprinkling that in? Probably not. But again, that's not. I mean, like sometimes that will be like certain information will go in one ear and come out the other. I think what Nick Fuentes, a lot of things that he said is about the
Yeah,
America, right? The things
I
that he
agree.
said about, that's what really
All right,
resonates
one
with
second.
younger men. So yes, I can be on board with you saying that, I don't agree with that the Holocaust thing, but honestly, I think a lot of young men wouldn't even remember that or care that he said it, right? So yes, he may sprinkle it into for his own opinions, but again, that's his opinion, right? So I would I'm pretty sure that lot of young men are not like, oh my god, now that's what I believe about the Holocaust. They honestly, I think that would go in one ear and out the other. The other stuff he talked
Okay.
about is what.
Then can I say another? Can I just say one quote? I just looked up Groiper on Twitter. First account that came up. Scroll down 3 tweets. Nick Fuentes quote: "It's not enough to be anti-white. You have to be pro-white and defend your people. You must be in favor of this, or you are the enemy." Do you think that that's a good thing to give to young people?
how's that any?
Saying
Wait,
that
wait,
if you are
let's
not
wait,
entirely
wait, wait,
Yeah,
pro-white,
wait,
then
wait,
how
you
wait,
are
is
the
that
enemy.
any different than
wait,
anybody else having pride for
Alan,
their race?
stop. Wait, let's.
No, but I wouldn't
We'll
say. But
like
I don't think that.
we're going to.
I'm just saying. Do you think that's a good thing to say?
Yeah,
That's all
Can
my
I
question.
we're
can
going
I
to
say
go one
something?
at a time, right? We're going to go one at a time. So I'm going to start. Alan gave that question, so we're going to say it. Let me say this, right? Particularly in the status right now, I say that's fine because right now we're having like the black community. You see it, right? The black community wants to support. I think that it's kind of funny that the black community is fine with propping up themselves, right? Saying, black power. Asians is fine with that. All other minorities is fine with pushing their own community. Yet, if white people push their own community and support their own community, it's a terrible thing. It's white supremacy. So I think that
Mm,
if with the
hmm
state of how society is today, I personally believe in unity, right? I believe that we all should like each other, all should unify. But with how the
Right.
climate is today, yes, I am fine with if one group is doing that, then all other groups should be doing that. So, Drake, we'll go for
Yeah, no,
you
totally.
first.
I got you.
Well, I want to give a real life
That really was
example
just a
of something
conversation
that
starter.
I want to give a real life example of something that frustrated me that kind of aligns with what Nick Fuentes has been saying, and it's a real
Mhm.
issue. It's a very real issue close to home. I live pretty close to Houston, Texas, and there's a town
Mm.
close to San Antonio called San Marcos. I visit there pretty frequently, but that town just had an
Sure.
issue where their mayor blocked a request for them to reallocate tax dollars because they noticed that a big chunk of their tax dollars were going towards funding the war in Gaza. And so
Yeah.
what happened was Greg Abbott, our governor a little while ago, he made it illegal to boycott the Israeli lobby. So those people in that small town of San
Damn, really?
Marcos, they can't
Ugh.
reallocate their own tax dollars that come out of their paychecks. And it's a big
Yeah.
slap in the face because it's like we have problems here. They want to fix their roads, they want to give it to their schools, they want to give it to homeless
Yeah.
veterans. There's
Yeah.
problems here that we should be more concerned with other than funding two different wars right now.
100%. Not
Wait,
even a
Drake,
question.
I do want to say this, right?
1000% agree with
I
that,
want to go.
Drake.
We could always talk about foreign policy because I definitely have critical views against that. We could do that right after this one. But Alan did putting up a question, so I really let's say
Sorry,
that,
I
and then
didn't mean
No,
to
I think
change
that's
the
no,
actually, I
subject
think that's
totally. My
pretty
bad.
pertinent to the
that's fine.
question.
I mean,
No, no, Drake, I appreciate you saying that.
because
Seriously.
I definitely
Thank you.
would. I don't mind going to that question, right? We could talk about because I do have very I'm very against America's foreign policy, but but I want to let's for a more cohesive show we could just stick with one thing at a time, and then we could always after that we could just move to that question or what your thoughts
My
on
bad. It's
how
just
America.
something that I remember Nick Fuentes bringing up pretty often on his show was our foreign policy, and that's something that has me really fired up in the past few months, especially seeing what our president's been doing. I'm generally a pretty conservative guy growing up, always have been, but seeing this guy
Sure.
shaking hands with a terrorist on Veterans Day, it really changed my view on the entire government as a whole, left and right. I think the
Oh,
two-party
yeah.
system's failed us.
No,
Okay.
I mean like I have very strict. I have very yeah. I definitely
Drake,
not
the more
support.
and more that I talk to you, the more and more I like you. I'm sorry that I was so hostile last time we spoke. I'm for real though, dude. Like you articulate yourself nicely.
And
Okay. How
talking is
old?
what Americans need to do more often because things like this bring us together more than anything.
One
No,
hundred
real talk.
percent.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking, Drake?
I'm 25.
Oh, word. I'm 21. Okay, so we're both relatively young. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And well, Dango is 23. So you guys are
Oh,
children.
really? Oh, cool.
But
Yeah, I
let
mean, we can vote.
we
The
could always,
America thinks that we can go and die in a war. I think that I don't know if we're children anymore, but
well,
Yeah,
fair enough.
old man. Don't make
but,
me feel.
okay, but let's
I mean,
let's
we are the
I'm young.
demographic
Yeah,
that's
I'm
going to hold the
100% young. I'm
majority
not
of the voting
wise, but
power
Can
in the
I
coming elections.
say something?
go
I wish
ahead.
there was like something
yeah, let's
for
go,
me to
Tango.
raise my hand, but I think in the beginning what Alan was trying to like argue against was um I think he wants Nick Fuentes to be more of like a role model and a leader, and to be
Yeah.
I guess a little less reactionary on based on what he says and say less
Hmm.
inflammatory things, because as we know, Gen Alpha, terrible media literacy, so uh, that's not gonna help a lot. Um, so basically, it's like I guess what he's thinking about uh is basically the kind of like the perfect role model, because that's essentially that's what we need, but humans can't be perfect, and Nick Fuentes is at the end of the day a content creator,
I
Well,
so
know, but like, okay,
I just
how much effort does it
no.
really take? Like, okay, I'm also very anti-Israel, very anti us being involved in Gaza. I 100% agree with him on that point. I do
Let me.
think that sprinkling in the fact that actually it's the Jews' fault, yeah, across the board is bad for American Jews, which are American people, and that's where I disagree with him on.
I,
Criticizing
I think
Israel,
it's
all
I think it's
for it.
more so
Criticizing,
Zionism's fault and not Jews.
wait,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you know what? I
I like
100% agree, but when he says Jews are the problem. He's not saying Zionists. That bothers me.
Alan, let me just like follow up with Dango just said.
Sure.
We
Sorry,
gave
correct me.
the left had the moderate right winger named Charlie Kirk, and they shot him in the fucking neck.
I do not think that Charlie Kirk was moderate.
Oh,
You
okay.
know this. We know this. We know that he's not. It's okay to
Oh,
admit it. I don't really
he's
have that big of a problem with him, but I don't think he's moderate.
he's moderate compared to Nick Fuentes.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, sure. I agree with you on that.
So
Yeah, I would say Nick Fuentes is more far right, while
Yes,
Charlie Kirk was right. So I
I
would
suppose. Yeah,
I
I
would
know.
call him
hey,
Yeah.
get Bart into the situation. He just hopped on, man. How you doing?
yeah, Boris. What's up,
Yeah.
man?
What's up, brother?
What's up with y'all? How y'all doing today?
What's up?
Doing good.
I was just listening, and my overall opinion, Nick Fuentes, I kind of don't even pay him to. I mean, I pay him. I listen. I hear him. You know what I'm saying? I watch everything because I think that's a huge problem we have is with people. We don't. You know thy enemy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah.
if he is against, if I am against him, then I should know what he's saying. It should be nothing that he can throw over top of my head because I already know it. And I think that's really like the main thing. I don't think it's a matter if you agree with him or not. I think it's a matter if you know what he really is saying. In my opinion.
Right. Yeah. No, agreed.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
but
I haven't
So
really
anyway,
watched it.
you were saying about the Charlie Kirk thing. I'm interested where that was going. Very interesting where that was going.
well, what I'm saying is like the right wing literally tried to like say like, hey, like we're not that far apart. Charlie Kirk was that guy that was willing to sit at the table.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
So like
Do you think that? So, oh, sorry, my bad, dude.
when we say like we want to talk to you guys, I mentioned to you last time we spoke, like how is feminism and Islam going to combat when they're here? And you never thought of that question. Charlie Kirk was raising those questions in a public forum, inviting leftists onto his platform, going on leftist platforms. He was doing all that. So when Dango says like, hey, like I understand, Alan, like you want someone more moderate, like the right gave you guys Charlie Kirk and y'all took him out. And I'm
So
saying,
when you say y'all took him out, I think that it's a little disingenuous to assume that every single
okay,
leftist in the country is happy about him dying.
okay,
I was saddened. I cried. I literally cried.
but
And I hated almost everything he ever said.
there were people that were out there cheering his death.
Yeah, I agree.
That's
I don't know, but
disgusting.
like, does that really mean to vilify 35% of the country? Is that really? I don't think it's productive to say y'all
Can I
when
say
it's just
something?
one person. And we
Well,
haven't even gotten to like real
me
political. I'm assuming he is a leftist, sure, but like
when I
it's
say
just one guy. They haven't released much about him.
okay, but when I
I
say
don't know.
all, like I don't mean like the whole population of the left, but there were sitting
I
members of
assume.
Congress that were going on to Congress steps and saying like Charlie Kirk was a hate monger. There were sitting members of
I do agree with that.
doing that.
I do agree with that.
You
Can
can
I
I don't
say
think he was a
something?
bad person
agree or
necessarily.
not.
I do think that he was a fearmonger.
Like you don't have to agree with me. That did happen. AOC did that. So you after
No, I
Can
know.
I
I'm
butt in
just saying
again?
I do.
Sorry.
I'm saying that like I don't hate Charlie Kirk. I don't think he should have died. I do think that he is a hate monger. Yeah,
All right,
oh,
what do you
I
want?
think that's an okay.
Let
I don't know.
Dango.
I'm just saying.
All right, what did Dango wanted to go up?
Okay, so when I said perfect role model, it's not about moderatism. It's more about the qualities that a person has, like self-control, um, just not being as reactive as much, and also being grounded in a way. Because how do I say this? It's like when you say like a lot of those inflammatory stuff, it gets views and whatnot, but it also might radicalize some people as well. And so
Yeah.
I think what Alan is trying to say is I think it's hard to like balance what people need. Like men do need someone to speak for them in certain issues, and that's correct. But there's also he's also possibly radicalizing some people as well. So it's just give or take. Most likely, he could do better, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure if we are getting better at the moment. So that's the difficult part.
Yeah.
Well, let me piggyback off of that. Alan, you're on here criticizing Nick Fuentes. What
I am.
about how radicalizing young people Dean
Mm,
Withers and Harry Simpson are? Because those guys
mm.
go up there and spew straight lies.
Like what?
Like what? Harry
Yeah, like what? What?
Sisson.
What is? No, like let's talk Dean Withers specifically. I watch him a lot, and I fact check a lot of the stuff that he says because he does talk fast and he kind of acts really annoying sometimes, and it pisses me off. I'll just put his streams on in the background sometimes when I'm like cleaning or whatever. But I like to fact check most of the stuff he says, and I haven't found a distinct lie. Maybe a little bit of omission sometimes, but like, what has he lied about specifically? You think is harmful for youth to listen
He's omitting information, not
in a
kind of
debate in a
lying.
debate format? I think no, like when you say lie. Yes, I think that when he doesn't do whataboutisms, like the right tends to do, I'm not. That's not even a criticism of like you guys, just kind of observations. Like yeah, when he talks about when he starts like denying Donald Trump's policies and on tariffs or whatever, but he refuses to bring up the fact that the Biden administration also carried over a lot of those tariffs. I think that that is a little disingenuous. I wouldn't call it a lie necessarily, but it does annoy me. But the stuff that he
Okay,
does say, I haven't caught him in a lie yet. So what has he lied about?
okay,
That's it.
so being disingenuous is not a lie.
I think that not bringing something up that isn't incredibly pertinent to a conversation, but if it were to be brought up, then it would be kind of used against you in some ways. I think can be a little. It's a debate tactic. We have to agree on that, but I don't think it's lying. Like, so what has he said that it's an outright lie to you? I'm just curious,
Oh,
honestly. I think
well,
a lot of mixed opinions on that guy. I don't think he's a liar. That's just my
okay, well,
2 cents.
when Harry Sisson is calling Trump like a serial rapist and all
Hmm.
that, and then it
Yeah, I
gets
think
exposed
that's.
that Harry was kind
Hmm.
of doing the same things Trump did. That's kind of
Okay.
a hypocritical behavior that can be
Agreed.
viewed as
I agree.
a lie.
It's I've gotten into a lot of arguments with leftists over this whole Donald Trump is a rapist. Donald Trump is a I'm not going to say these things, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've gotten into a lot of arguments with my buddies about that. I think it's a bad strategy. I think that lying in that capacity is bad. I cannot say that I've ever heard Dean Withers say it though. What's your beef with Dean? I don't know anything about this other guy. You said you brought up Dean. I watch him a lot. I'm curious. What has he lied about?
I like to
Okay, well,
button and
I'm serious. I'm just asking, Rain. Rain, I'm like, this is not a gotcha. Like, I'm for real just asking. I want to look into it.
well,
This is why I talk with you guys.
well.
Do
Let's
you
just
watch
say
Dean
this.
Withers? Have you ever like watched his stream? Why do you think he's a liar?
okay, I'm
Being
sorry, I like to button again. DA, I like to ask for your opinion on this, but
Sure.
I'm gonna make probably like I'm not sure if this is a radical statement or not, but personally, I don't think politics affects much of our country and the way people live. It's more,
Mm,
it's I think the right term for what affects us is the term realpolitik, and that's basically groups being motivated by certain like interests, and it's all
mm,
about organizing, networking, and also like assets and whatnot. I think all these like arguments they're more for distracting people
I
from the real issues. And I think one of the real issues that you focus on, DA, is the state of women and men today and the gender wars and how things were definitely not the same as they were decades ago.
Dango. This is a thing where I mean, this is why I've said this to Alan, where I mean I have certain
yeah.
opinions on politics, but I don't have much because in my personal opinion, right, and how I live my life, I don't think, let's say if Trump was president, I could care less. If Kamala was president, I could care less because in my honest opinion, now could I say that these people don't affect your life 100%? Of course, something they would do would affect you, tax, stuff like that.
Hmm.
But in general, it's still a something that you don't necessarily control. So What I believe that is a true concern to the American people is exactly what Dango said, right? It is women and men dynamic and racial dynamic. So this is why, again, let's say considering with Nick Fuentes, forget what all the other shit he says. I agree. I don't really care about the Holocaust stuff, but
Yeah, sure, that's
the
fair. We
things
can
that
drop that.
yeah, the things that Nick Fuentes does say that resonate with young men is his ideals on like family, women, racial dynamics, right? I mean, how
Right. So
we are pretty
right.
much have a racial divide between white people, black people. We have a problem with promiscuous women nowadays, feminism. That's where I more focus on, right? So that's exactly that.
Have
That's
you
where I believe
heard some of the
that's
things that
more
he said about these issues?
Yes, I've read a few. Right, Nick Fuentes. I'm not. Again, this is the third. I mean, I've only seen him twice, so I wouldn't say
Right.
I'm I'm not really following Nick Fuentes. But I mean, the
Do you think the
glacier
women
thing
should be able
I
to
heard.
vote? Do you think the women should be able to vote?
Okay, let's do that. Right. Okay. I
I'm
mean, I would love.
serious. I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering. Just yes
Yeah,
or no. Do you think that women? Do you think the 19th Amendment should be repealed?
I do. Right. So,
Oh,
but
real talk.
yeah,
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Really?
my
Oh,
also
I
thing
want
is
to see
that
where he goes with this.
Yeah,
yeah,
me too. Da, please explain. Please go
yeah,
on.
yes. My thing is that I think very few people should be able to vote. Right. I've said this in another stream where I believe people who only have a true um, a stake in the American system. You own a business. You are in the military. You work in
Whoa,
the government. Things like that. Right. You have
whoa.
a family. Right? If you have a family,
If you have a family, wouldn't that
nuclear.
also mean women?
No, but the man would be making the vote for that. It will be
That's
one vote. Whole family.
DA. Oh goodness, you're serious
That's
about
where
this? Are
my
you joking?
Yep, no, that's what I mean, again, I'm not gonna say, "Oh, let's do that tomorrow." No. But if I wouldn't cry if they do repel it because I don't believe in my honest opinion, right? I mean, you guys are logical. I mean, you guys are very knowledgeable, but again, I honestly believe I think you guys are outliers compared to the norm of your people your age, where you are
You
not.
think that I'm an outlier for thinking that women should be able to vote?
No. I'm talking about logic, not knowledge, right? The amount of things you know, I think
Oh
you
yeah,
guys are
sure. Yeah,
outliers.
it's my hobby. I'm a weirdo. I'm genuinely
So,
autistic. It's
but
all I do.
that's that's the thing, right? Most young people are not
Yep.
like the young people in this, in this live right now. So again, I don't, I wouldn't cry if we repeal the women's right to vote, right?
I assume not because you wouldn't be
Women should get
affected.
the ability to vote.
Um,
They should be doing it within their family. So
So
what do
what
you
if
got,
a woman what
I
if a woman was president and decided that all men can't vote anymore?
Alan? I
Would you
know
be
that
upset
you're.
about that?
Let's have other people's opinion on it.
I
No,
Dango,
but
would
I'm
really
seriously
like
just
to
curious.
interject
DA,
here. I
yeah,
would
okay.
really
if
like
a
to
wait
say
no,
something.
just one last thing. DA, if a woman was in president, if all of Congress people somehow one day just poof, they're all women, and they decided that all men couldn't vote, would you be upset about that? Would you cry about that?
We're pivoting. So let me finish.
No, but
Let's
I'm
finish
asking.
this
I'm just
argument,
you said that you'd be
and
fine if it happened to
I'll
them. What
answer that.
would you be fine if it
And I'll
happened to
answer
you?
that. And
Just yes or no. Just yes or no. It's one syllable. Yes or no.
if women control society, if women
And
control
they
society,
decided that all men can't vote, you would just sit down and go, "Yep, that's fair." Like seriously, yes or no.
no.
So why are you fine if men decide if women can't vote?
Well, then see that's what I'm saying. Then I will explain it. But let's go through the
But what's
panel
the
with.
difference, DA? What's the difference? You can't
And
just drop something like
All
that. That's
right,
a
all
no,
that's
we're
right, all
Hey,
right.
come
pivoting.
on,
Hey,
let him.
Pivoting.
Let him.
let's.
So they're pivoting.
wait,
So I'm going to give other people say. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Right.
look, essentially, as far as the voting rights thingy, I really feel strongly that if you are able to be claimed as a dependent on somebody's
Mm,
taxes, you shouldn't be able to vote. Anywhere hence onward saying you're out on your own, you have a
yeah.
job, you're supporting yourself, I believe yes, you do have the right to say to say your piece about what you think of how you think politics should go. You should have a say in what's
Hmm.
happening because you're directly affected by the economy and the economy is directly affected by politics.
Okay.
See,
Dango.
that's fair. Now that's more fair, Drake. I
Please,
understand that one.
yeah,
let's. I want everyone to have
I'm
a
just
spotlight.
saying.
So,
Okay.
Dango,
I
your turn.
said in the past that DA's view on democracy is basically how democracy, as it was born, I think in Athens, that was how it was represented because it was basically like business owners and whatnot. Um, nobles. If ancient Greece had that, then I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Basically just voting on basically people who had stakes in Athens economy and their government voting. Um, Athens was misogynist, so women didn't vote. But
Yeah.
basically, and even in our like history, like how the U.S. started, it was basically wealthy landowners that mostly like voted. I think if I wasn't
No,
wrong.
like literally in the original, specifically for president, like the original voting restrictions was if you owned a specific amount of land, were white and were a man. That was it.
Mm-mm.
I'm not even arguing against it. I'm just saying that's what it was.
Dang, but do you? I mean, what do you think? You think women?
Do you think women should be
Women
able to vote, Dango?
what
I
would you
think
think?
I think that if you have stakes in it, like and if you're informed, then yes. But most people they're very reactive and they're easily manipulated more or less based on what others say and media cycles. So and they're susceptible to propaganda as well, depending on different type, maybe foreign propaganda or whatnot. So
Sure.
I think the thing is, once you get like to a national level, I think like if you're in like voting for a town or your state, you can change things. But up to the national level, it's like your effect becomes your like contribution, I guess, becomes more minute. But you still pay taxes, so it's a little weird. So
Mm.
I don't know. I think as long if you have your stakes in it and you're informed and educated, then yeah. But I think with the way the government works, I don't think us voting makes any difference, to be honest.
Okay,
I have
big
something
bar.
to say on that, but I want to let everyone else talk about it. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm just
big
saying
bar.
I do have a point on that.
Yeah, it's fine. Big bars. What are your thoughts?
I really think that the vote. Number one, I think the electoral college should be get rid of that.
Preach,
And
brother. Goddamn. Yes, sir.
if you gonna leave everything the way it is, get rid of the electoral college and let it be a real vote per se. And then my issue is like Da said, the knowledge base. You got a whole bunch of idiots that are drooling into their lap voting for president. That's a problem. I think that needs
Yeah.
to be addressed in my view. You know what I'm saying? It may be a entry level when you turn 18, you should have to pass a test or something. Something has to be done because you got people who don't even know that Egypt is in Africa voting on the president. That's
Yeah.
crazy. You know, and I just want to say one thing real quick. When we talk about the Zionist Jewish thing, I think something that we have to understand is that we are our ideology. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
you can't separate Zionism from Jews.
We can.
Jews are Zionists. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
you
I
absolutely
don't.
can
I
separate
very much
Zionists from
disagree.
Jews.
I will
Well,
say
of
this,
course
and this
y'all
is
would. Of
anecdotal.
course y'all would. Of course y'all
Wait,
would.
no,
Well, I
Colonel,
have
listen to
Jewish
me.
We're
family members that oppose
I was gonna
Zionism
say
entirely.
half of
Zionism
my
came
family
around in
is
the
like half of my family is
1940s.
Mexican, half of my
Judaism has been around since the beginning of time. Well, the beginning that we could
yeah,
reflect back to, at least
yeah,
biblically.
yeah,
Judaism and Zionism are two totally separate entities.
yeah. There's non-Jewish
Okay,
Zionists and Jewish non-Zionists.
okay. Y'all said what y'all had to say. Now let me say what I have to say.
Please.
Okay, yes, Judaism probably was older than Zionism, but what we're talking about is we're even talking about the same thing. You're
Wait, what is
equating
Zionism? What is
You just
you're
said
Zionism?
that all Jews
equating
are Zionists.
No, no, no. But what is Zionism? Yo, big bars for real. Like, what is your definition of Zionism?
I'm not playing your game because you do that too much for me.
okay.
That's not a
Okay?
game. I'm seriously
No,
asking you.
no,
What are
no,
you even
no, no,
arguing
no, no,
about?
no. If you know
What are you
something,
arguing?
say it. If you know something, say it, man. If you know what Zionism
No, no, no.
is,
That's not what I'm
say it.
asking.
No,
No,
you say it.
everyone has a different definition of it. So I'm asking what your definition of
I,
Zionism. That's my only question.
whatever, whatever.
Well,
Okay.
Because I hate that.
I can appease to what you're
Bro,
saying.
no, no, I don't
I
want you to
can
answer. I
share
would
You
rather
strong.
Big
didn't
Bars
let me.
answer.
You
I'm
didn't
really
let me
curious.
say what I was going to
Okay.
say.
Let's calm down. Let's calm down. Let's calm down.
Didn't
All
he
right.
let me say what I was going to
But
say?
what
Just
is Zionism? What does it mean
no,
to you? It's
no,
different
it
for
don't.
everybody. Like, what is your definition?
It don't. Okay, Alan. Let's not
He's crossing his arms like a child. What is Zionism? It's just a simple question. You should be
don't
able to answer
don't.
it with like 2 seconds.
You're
Again, he
you're
doesn't stop. Right? We don't need. He just it's just a spotlight, right? This is not. I don't really. If you guys don't want to debate each other, you don't have to. So if he doesn't want to debate you, he doesn't. I just want to give people a voice,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So
It doesn't
Agree.
have to
if he
be
wants to have an
provocative.
opinion, just let him have an opinion, right? So
I
I mean,
agree. I'm just
let
curious.
it just doesn't matter, right? Big bars. I just want you to finish what your thought is, and then we'll go on to Real Rain's thoughts.
My only thought was the people or type that is Jewish that you're talking about. You're equating two things. You're comparing apples to oranges. You know what I'm saying? The people at the time of Zionists, they were their ideology. I believe you are what you eat. You are your
Hmm.
ideology. If
Okay.
you
Okay.
if you if you say if I say I'm a Christian, then I'm a Christian. Then I should go by the tenets of the book and X, Y, and Z. That's what I believe.
Hmm.
And I believe we're equating Jewish people, which were let's be honest, they wasn't even the same people. We didn't even talk about the same people, bloodline wise, at all, at
Don't
all.
don't go too deep into it, big bars, right? Don't go too deep. Just
We're not,
Yeah.
your pain.
we're not
Okay, I have
about
one
that.
follow-up
We're
question
not even
though.
talking
I
about the
just have
same
one
people.
thing.
We're not even talking about the same people. We're
I
not
know
even
we're
talking
not.
about the same people.
Okay.
And all
But
right,
okay, do you think
good.
that I'm serious?
No,
Just one
no.
last thing,
I want
because
to.
I'm so interested. This is a very interesting topic to me.
Don't,
Like,
Alan, no, don't. This is not a topic,
what
right? This
is
is not, I don't really
Zionism?
want to go.
I don't even know what it
I
is. Like,
really
what
don't
is
want to go.
Zionism?
I really don't know. I don't really want to go with the
And I do
the
know.
little hat people, right? I mean, that's
Okay, but
always
I
a
I
touch.
need to understand. Big
I,
bars.
I
Why
have a
don't
little bit
people?
of knowledge on the definition if you
No,
guys
no,
would
me
like
too.
me to
Drake,
share a
Drake,
little
Drake.
bit
We
more.
don't,
I'm just asking him.
guys. I'm sorry.
Hey,
Stop.
hey,
Control yourselves. Control yourselves. Right.
All right, my bad.
Let's just
I
move
am gonna
on.
circle back though.
Real
Think
rain.
about it.
Real rain. What's
Yeah,
your
real Ryan,
thoughts?
what's up?
well, one, I just gotta say this now because our boy DA has been very patient with us. Respect his platform. When he tells us to shut up, we shut up. So
Agreed.
let's like get that rule out the way. Going back to the 19th Amendment, I do
That's what
believe
we're
in
talking about. Holy
stakeholder.
shit.
I do believe in stakeholder democracy. So like last time we talked, Alan, I asked you, why are men required to register for the draft to be able to vote, but women are not? So when I say stakeholder
You did
democracy,
ask, and I said, yeah.
these are the things that we have to like ask the questions about because you know what democracy really is? It's two guys voting on what to do with the third guy's money.
That's more of the way that we do it. Democracy in its like simplest form is every single
No,
person
no,
votes
no.
on every single issue, which is why we don't do that because it's completely it's useless.
But that
We have
is
a
how we
that's a
like.
democratic republic. I mean, like that's the way that we do things. We're not a full democracy. It's just kind of the
Yeah, we
term
are
that we
more
started using
Republican.
during the Cold War.
Hmm.
Yeah, we're a republic, but like everyone, like when we go to these foreign countries, and
Yeah.
sorry, DA to Bill, but when we go to these foreign countries and we say our goal is to spread democracy, do you think Afghanistan knows what a constitutional republic means?
Hell no, and I agree with you on that one, brother.
Okay, so like
100%.
this idea of democracy is just so it's like the greatest lie ever told.
Is
Be-
Oh,
That's why we are more republic, and that's why I mean I think here's the thing where we all got the opinions on the 19th Republic, the 19th Amendment, but here's I want to since Alan pushed the question like if so we're talking about if it was reversed, right? If things were reversed, okay, still I might as well just finish it. If things were reversed and women were in power, right? Women were in power, would I be fine with women saying, "Oh, man can't vote"? Here's my thing: no, because that would be no such thing, right? In society where there's men, women cannot be in power unless men don't allow it. Just same thing with feminism. If men didn't allow it, it wouldn't happen. So that's why I don't you know I would say no, because again, men wouldn't allow anything. Women cannot do anything if men don't allow it in general. So that's why even if you say that, oh, if women had power, would is it okay to take away all rights of men? No, because again, men have the ability, thanks to force doctrine, to take away that power that we pretty much gave women. So any woman throughout history, they got power thanks to men allowing it.
Oh,
So
can I
Right.
that's why it was reversed.
Okay.
can I
Yeah.
can I say something?
But
Yeah. Go for it.
Alan, Ingo's trying to talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that on like a small scale, like for villages and tribes, matriarchal societies or ethnicities, matriarchal societies can exist. But from what I've seen from civilizations, it's men. And I think the reason why is because I think men, I think, I don't think women really know how to control men, but men know how to control other men. And that makes sense. And make them do other things that they want, like the power hierarchy, basically. So I don't think women can lead civilization anytime soon.
all right,
Yeah. Fair
Alan, what,
enough.
what is your thought?
Um. I guess I'm just like, I mean, like in a hypothetical history, I'm a big fan of alternate history, right? Huge fan. Dude, there's this YouTube channel called Alternate History Hub. Highly recommend it. If you like history like at all, seriously check this guy out. He rules. Like very apolitical, just talks good stuff. Anyway, but like I mean, like in some form of backwards twisted history, it's completely unrealistic, but whatever. Like America is found by, I don't know, Chris Columbus, like woman Chris, Kris, Christina Columbus, whatever. Like, I mean, if America was founded by women for women, and then men obviously came over to like populate the area, and now we have America, and it was run by mostly women. Like, just in a complete hypothetical, would you be happy if this whole time they were the ones creating the laws and stuff? Would you be happy if they decided, you know what? I think giving men the right to vote was a bad idea. I think we should repeal that. Like,
But
purely hypothetical.
in a hypothetical world, again, right? One, it can't happen. But two, let's say even if
Yeah, I agree.
it's that kind of world,
Yeah.
this is a thing where I would say that's how it is, right? So if women, let's say
So
hypothetically,
you just take
women
it?
I mean,
Like for real, you wouldn't fight it. You wouldn't even be like annoyed. You'd just be like, yeah, yeah. Still, women are in power. Therefore, I shouldn't have a say in this. Like you'd just be totally fine with that.
well, I mean,
Mm,
okay, you guys, the hypothetical got to be more to it. So, are men slaves? Are men unhappy? Or
No,
I
no,
mean,
men are in the exact same position women are in right now. The quote unquote equality, whatever you want to say, they had their the version of the men's feminist movement. 2025, men are just women, completely flipped, gender flipped. Would you be okay
what's
if if woman Donald Trump came out and said, "We're repealing the 19th Amendment, fellas"? Would you be okay with that? If the 19th
uh,
Amendment meant men got to vote, like, would you be okay
what's
with that, DA?
what's the purpose of discussing hypotheticals if they're not
I'm
gonna
kidding.
happen?
I seriously do have a point. I'm just curious what would you say to that?
I would say
I swear I have a point.
yeah, if I say this, if that's how the world is, it's how the world is then, right? I mean, if the let's say hypothetically a female president in a world controlled by women saying men just vote, okay, fine, I wouldn't really care. Take away your vote, cool.
I think that that's kind of antithetical to like America, though. That's my overall opinion. I think that
How's it
I'll say
antithetical?
this. I'll say this. I'll explain it really quickly. Sorry. The concept of like political stakeholders. The reason why we have electoral colleges in the first place is actually incredibly interesting. I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but it literally came down to, hey, we realize that millions of people are going to end up voting in these things, but only like maybe 1,000 of them are ever going to actually get to meet these candidates because it's pre like internet, pre phone, pre everything, right? They're like they'll throw rallies in every like maybe one in every state, but people are mostly just going to be voting on name and what people are telling them to vote
Wait,
for. So
Alan,
they,
big bars,
you
big
know,
bars. My brother, let me I'll put you out for a little bit, right? I want Red Door to come on.
All right.
All right, man.
Well, it's a good
is it
like.
going?
Let me.
No, for real though. Like for real. Like the whole concept of like the stakeholder democracy, right? that we ran on for quite a bit of time. I'm not disagreeing it, not agreeing with it, just saying. The whole concept of it was literally the American people are too stupid to know what they're voting on. But now in this like increased globalization, we can read everything, we see every single speech, the debates are, monetized. The debates are everywhere, right? Like I think that the concept of a stakeholder democracy is more outdated than I think we like to admit. So yes, I think the electoral college should be gone, but at the same time, I think the concept of quote unquote stakeholders is less and less prevalent with each generation because now we have, let's say, I don't know, homeless guy in the street, right? They're according to your definition are not a stakeholder. But
Correct.
because of that, if stakeholders got together and was like, I don't like these guys, and they're still people, we can admit that they're still human beings. I think that if they pass, I think that them being able to pass the kill all homeless people law without homeless people not being able to have a say in it is bad. And I also want to say that that is exactly what America was founded on. That's the whole
But,
reason
but,
we even started the revolution is because we didn't
but, here,
have representation while we
but,
were getting fucked.
but here's the thing where,
So
see,
I think
but
that
your
stakeholder
premise,
democracy is stupid.
no, I don't really think so, because then your premise is that, you know what, the people who are going to take over is going to be evil, right?
No, I'm
They're
saying
going,
that the whole
because,
reason we fought the British is because of this concept of stakeholder parliament. So you're saying introducing it back into the American concept in 2025, I think is antithetical to the American dream. I think it's antithetical to the concept of a founding. And I
Well,
think that I think it's naive to assume that people that aren't quote unquote stakeholders aren't affected by these policies, regardless. Even if it's
I'm
just
not saying
small
they're not
things,
affected.
right? Like,
I'm not
okay,
saying
we're
they're not
gonna
affected.
defund homeless shelters. We're gonna defund whatever. Like, I don't think that makes them evil. It's just made them saving money, but they are affecting the lives of the people that cannot speak for themselves. And that's why I think it's a dumb fucking idea. Come
Because
on,
no, because then you're still assuming
please.
that they will go down that path of the worst. Because let me say this, right? Oh, let's
But we've
defund
done
homeless
this
shelters.
before.
What do you think homeless
Segregation.
people are being?
Segregation was a whole thing. It was literally the same exact point. The entire thing of Reconstruction turning into Jim Crow segregation came down to only some people can vote. This makes sense, I promise. And then they
But
end up just
here's the thing
abusing
where,
their power like crazy. It happens every single time.
yes, but here's the thing: we're not expanding it to only white people, right? That can control that stakeholder. Like I said, I mean,
But you're expanding it
there's
to
a
a
wider
specific group of
range.
people that don't interact with another group of people that make decisions for that group of people. That usually, and by usually I mean always, has ended up poorly in America. Same thing with
Look,
the Cold War, the way that we were running like trials for like communist supporters, whatever. We took away the right to vote from all of these people just because we were like, oh, they have communist ties. And immediately, like the moment that the Cold War ended, even in like the late 60s, I'm like, all right, that was a misstep. We don't know what these people are actually saying. Whether or not we agree with them, we don't know what they actually want out of the country. So we're actively making it worse for these people. Therefore, we're going to revoke it. And I think that it's silly for you right now to think that actually we should revert all the way back. That's all I'm saying.
did anyone at any point say revert all the way back?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that well, when you're bringing up examples of people that pay taxes, people that own property,
I
people
would
that aren't dependents, I would say that the examples like that are exactly what the
no.
concepts of like
It
what
would
let's
it
say
would
like
it would
late
be
19th century. This is like post landowning white men, but like pre women and minorities. So like I don't know, I'd say
majority.
that it's like let's say like 1890s Gilded Age era. That's the kind of politics you're advocating for, and there's a
This is
reason we got rid
no,
of it.
no. This is a thing where we can use certain ideas and evolve them, right? Certain ideas doesn't mean that, oh, that idea is 100% terrible, right? We
I know,
can
but that's like
evolve ideas, right? So there could be majority, let's say family, because here's the thing where let's hypothetically, let me give you a hypothetical. Okay,
mhm.
right now there's a low like the black community has a low family unit, right? There's not high. Well, if you want to have a vote, you have to establish families, right? You want to vote by yourself? I'm sorry, you can't. Single mothers, I'm sorry. If you are going to suffer, then you know what? Don't leave your father or whatever. Create families. I right now how we are
See,
going
I
about,
agree with
I
what
think
you're
that's better.
saying, but there's no way to prevent backsliding on that, which is why we've repealed all
How's there no
these
way? You
things.
have
There's a reason.
freedom. You have
There's
free
no way to.
choice.
I
You
understand
can
that, but like, okay, but if it was passed today, what happens to all the single? What happens to everybody that didn't know that this was going to go into effect?
Well, if you
What
didn't
happens
know,
to every single person who made
if
these
you don't,
decisions thinking that they'd be able to vote? And you
here's
just
the thing.
to
That's the
pass
same thing,
the
right?
actually you can't vote
They're
anymore law. Do you
misinformed.
think that that's fair to them?
That's the misinformed. You're gonna have to deal with it. What, Dangle? What do you want to say?
That's
So
that's not
I think based on how Alan talks, it seems like, well, I think generally a lot of liberals, they notice this trend, but there's a
yeah. No, please tell me the truth.
it seems like they identify with enlightenment ideals, and
Yeah, 100%. In a lot of ways.
basically that there's like certain inalienable rights that every human being has, um and everyone has values, and then we should be able to have access to democracy, liberty, and whatnot. And then there's the other half which believes in more like a kind of like a state um sanctioned type of Christianity type. It- that's what I see. And but the problem is that enlightenment ideals, they came from Christianity, Thomas Aquinas, basically, and basically rationalism, and how you argue,
Yeah,
and how you argue and debate and whatnot. It's basically those two are interrelated. I
I
think the
highly
problem
disagree with that.
is that
Alan, wait.
I
No,
think the
I'm just
problem
saying.
is that, so, on a fundamental level, enlightenment ideals, they can't work with government. Government works on real politics, um, influence from groups, international policy, history, just those a lot of like Machiavellism, those type of things. A- so I don't think enlightenment ideals, they're not
My
sustainable, but they're good for like unifying people under like a certain myth, I guess. That makes
Well,
sense.
but
can
the
I
myth
add
that I'm
real quick
advocating for is
that
that
I
people that are
think
American citizens should be able to vote. I don't know how that's like. I
Alan, wait.
agree, but
Alan,
how is
Alan,
that
Alan,
crazy? I don't understand.
Alan.
That's crazy. That's not that crazy.
Alan, you're
That's
very
not even like a leftist
outspoken,
idea.
and Alan, dude, I
Yes.
think you're very outspoken. You have a lot to say, but I think you're trying to run the show. I would
Yeah,
really
yes.
like DA to be able to ask
I should
people
make
to
my own
speak.
show. I should
Go
make my
ahead.
own
No,
show.
no, no.
You're right.
You should. You should. Drake, I want you. You can say something, and then I want to give the door. I'm going to give the floor to Red Door after Drake. Okay. So Drake.
Well, as far as her theory, from what I understood, she was kind of saying that the political system in the U.S. is kind of based around the ideas of Christianity. But I would like to point out that Christianity, if we can agree on this, is one of the most open and accepting religions out there today. You know, we're very open and accepting of anybody of any race, any culture, any gender, demographic. You know, Jesus Christ is available for anybody in the world. He loves everyone. But to say that an entire political entity is based solely around religion, I would refute that. I would say that our political system today, right now, surrounds itself with money and like financial gain for politicians. I think at its core, this might go a little bit off topic, but the danger to our political freedom is having billionaires involved in politics. I think an element of greed resides in that endangers
Very
the
much
rights
agree.
of the people in the middle class and the lower class.
No, I can agree with that. I can agree with that. Red Door. What, my
Okay, I
sister?
just need to say I gotta
What are your
go.
thoughts? All right, Alan.
It's been lovely
That's all
talking
good,
to
my
you guys. Seriously, my bad, boys. Something came up. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for having me on.
brother.
You
Okay,
know how it
bye.
is.
Later, baby.
I'll talk to you guys later. Seriously, nice to see you. Red Door Woman, have a nice night.
Red Door, my sister. What are your thoughts?
Nice.
Red Door. I don't. Red Door. It doesn't seem like your mic. You have your mic. Um. If you can talk, just talk when you can. Okay. But Drake, I do want to say this, right? You said you're conservative, right?
I grew up conservative, but I feel like with how conservatives are labeled today, I might be considered more centrist.
Hmm. So I kind of want your thoughts and like you said that if you I mean I want to see kind of how conservative you are, your views on how you know because you also said you're not really for repealing the 19th Amendment, which is cool, but you listen to Nick Fuentes. This is the thing where do you not think that feminism, which would be part of the 19th Amendment, it has affected the young men, particularly white men right now, because
I would say that feminism and the 19th Amendment are two separate topics, really. The reason I would not repeal the 19th Amendment is that I believe men and women today are equally affected by politics and the economy. I think it would be unfair to women because there's women out there that can work 80 hours a week, and there's men out there that can sit on their ass all day and collect benefits from the government. I think gender doesn't really today have anything to do with how you can set yourself up economically. I think everybody, both genders, has an opportunity to make a future for themselves. Therefore, they should both have the right to have a say in politics.
mm, okay, I agree. I mean, like, again, I'm not saying that let's do it, but I'm for me it's like I have not seen, in my opinion, right? I've not
It's a
seen the.
challenging idea, and I feel like a lot of backlash would come in the end after repealing the 19th
Oh
Amendment.
no,
If we
I
were to
agree.
do that today, women would throw a huge fit.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not saying let's do it, but I definitely agree. Again, it's just more like I have not seen the, let's say the how after certain effects like feminism or the 19th Amendment, how has our society been better, right, from all these certain kind of changes? So
Oh, it's
I,
gotten worse. It's gotten worse. Feminism has painted men in a bad light when I think feminism today, they don't follow the true definition of feminism. Feminism was originally created to become equal to men, not to say that men deserve less.
mm-hmm.
I like to speak
That's
my
more
words.
misandry.
Yeah, Dangle, what do you want to say?
Okay, sorry for interrupting you guys mid sentence. I guess. Uh, I just have to squeeze myself in. I think the benefits of feminism are not really spread equal. I think who benefit most from feminism seem to be like companies because they got an extra
Oh,
source of labor, and they also got a new market because
this.
women made more money now and they didn't rely on men, so they have a whole new market to market their goods. Before, women had to go through men, and of course men tend to be pragmatic. So if a woman wanted like Birkins, and her husband could be like, no, we don't need that, no. But now that she has her own money, she can buy whatever she wants, and she's subject to like all types of marketing. So, and as we know, I think women, they make most of the consumers. Um, consumers like of a lot of products these days. I'm not sure. I forgot what I was gonna say. As I was saying it, but yeah, I think men, they, after a certain point, they don't really like. It's hard to market to them because they don't have a lot of needs, I think, or desires.
Okay. All right, let's give the floor to Red Door, my sister. Looks like your mic is. What's your thoughts tonight?
Hi everyone. How are you?
Good.
Yay, we can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
Good,
hear you good.
good.
Okay. Um, First of all, I just wanted to say that Zionism started in 1897 by a gentleman named Theodore Herzl. And in 1897, he had the first congressional Zionist movement in Switzerland, and its main goal was to establish a homeland in Palestine for the Jews. That was the main goal of Zionism. So that's when it started, and I lived in Germany for 10 years. So, and that was during the Cold War. So I know a lot about German history and
Is
what
that something they
happened.
taught in German history?
No, they didn't in the schools. No, they didn't
Okay.
talk about Zionism much. And, I was in Germany during the Cold War because I worked for the Department of Defense. And, it was our goal, it was the goal of the United States to guard the East and West German borders to keep the Russians from coming over if there was a conflict, because they felt that if the Russians were able to reach into Germany, then Germany would be split in half again, probably around the area of Frankfurt. So most of the troops that were stationed, well, all of the troops that were stationed on the border were combat units in states of readiness. So all they did was guard the border, 300, for every day of the year. So, and it was kind of strange to sit there and look at that border and think, okay, on this side we're free, and on that side they're not. It gave me a whole different perspective of freedom, because one day they had minefields set up, and there was what was called the 1K zone, and these minefields were set up, and not only minefields, but they had what was called puppy huts, where they had these dogs, and if you tried getting across that 1K zone to the fence, which people didn't make it. There were people shot and blown up. I remember one time did make it to the fence, and they shot him, and I think we looked at him hanging off that fence for about a week before he was removed. So, and I was there when the wall came down, and I always used to think, what's going to happen to me if because I was in the area of Fulda Gap, and it was the one area where that was really guarded intensely, because it was the one area on the border where the Russians could get heavy armor like tanks and equipment through. So I was thinking, well, we would have these alerts and drills, and when the sirens went off, you never knew if it was the real thing or not. We had plans for landing planes on the Autobahn, for getting out dependents and retired military people, and evacuation plans, and we would have these neo briefings, and I had a war clause in my contract. So because I managed the communications for 5 military posts on the East-West German border, that's what I did. I worked for 5th Signal Command, but I supported the 3rd Armored Division and the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment. So it was a whole other time. And then when the wall came down, I'll never forget it, because on the other side of the border, I mean, yeah, we had to worry about the Russian nukes, but I don't think we had to worry about the Russian army because everything they did along the border was a show, and a lot of their army equipment and tanks were antiquated and rusted and broken down. So probably as far as ground, um, battles, I don't think we had a whole lot to worry about. So it was kind of an interesting time. But what I did when I was in Germany, it was before the days of the internet, and because I'm Native American, and I like to study genocide because people here in the US don't think that we were genocide. Well, it's estimated there were 10 million Native Americans living in North America, and by the 1900s there were 300,000. So I would take a notebook, and whenever I went and visited people, I had a German landlord, and I had this other elderly lady that lived behind me, and she would tell me all about when the Russians came through and the Russian tanks, and um, tell me these stories. But I wanted to know, what really happened, because I came across a document that talked about, and unfortunately, I should have made a copy, but I had found it in the National Archives, and it was called the Zionist Plan for Taking Over the Middle East. And if anybody knows about the history of England, the UK, the Zionist, and the Balfour
Mhm.
Declaration, that was all about signing up. And there were Zionists that actually worked under Hitler's SS. They had a goal, they were working together. And yeah, there were concentration camps. I visited all of them. And there were people besides Jewish people that went to the concentration camps, because there were Polish people, and like somebody said, the gypsies, which they call Zigeuner, in German. And so there were a lot of other people besides Jewish people that went to the concentration camps, including German people that did not approve of what was going on. So I just wanted to, make it clear that Zionism hasn't been around that long, and where it came from and what their goal was,
No,
which
yeah,
is,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you for a little bit of the. You lived a quite a crazy, amazing life, Red Door.
yeah,
So that's amazing.
I
Thank you for
think
yeah,
sharing.
it is amazing. Going from a reservation, off the reservation, and dealing with the Western world, and then going to Germany. It was quite an experience.
Mm, I love it.
you,
I
Red
love.
Door.
I love the history. I love it. Thank you.
And as far as women voting, I had a hard time wrapping my brain around women voting, because in my tribe, women have always been allowed to vote.
Mm,
You know, the genders were considered equal. They both had their designated roles, but they were considered equal
Mm.
with their voices and helping maintain the tribe and the community. And so when I heard, when I started studying about suffrage and women's voting, I was like, oh my gosh. But you have to realize, us Native Americans, we didn't even become citizens until 1924.
Mm.
So,
Gee.
I had a lot of things to try to discern why we were treated so differently when blacks were allowed to vote in 1924, but we weren't.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't.
Mm-hmm.
They were citizens, and um,
Mm.
so I just wanted to bring that up.
No,
But
thank you, thank you.
Thank you so
Love
much.
it.
yeah,
I
And
think
and
that
Red Door, you just like gave us a lot of topics to kind of go on, and
agreed.
kind of like what I, because you're older than me,
Mhm.
what I would like to know is, because I've read the protocols of the Elders of Zion, and
hmm
and that has been classified as a conspiracy theorist book. As someone who witnessed kind of the rise of Zionism, I don't know if you read the book or not, but what, in your opinion, is the end goal for Zionism? Like, is it just the Jewish state to be about, or is it like something more dominant?
well, Zionism, unlike Judaism, which is the religious ideology of the Jewish people,
Yeah.
Zionism is basically a political ideology,
Mhm.
Okay.
and it's about gaining control. And, they have an agenda in mind. And they worked with Hitler, and they actually, made deals with Hitler, and they did ship some Jews from Germany into Israel because that was their plan to create. They really wanted Palestine to be their home. And
Well, I really wish Alan was here right now. So, because kind of what I'm hearing is, and you're not saying directly, but European Zionists wanted the Holocaust so they can get Israel.
I,
Is that kind of something like along the lines of what you're saying?
well, remember Hitler had his own agenda
Yeah,
and his own prejudices,
I just
and the
I
Zionists just played into that. You know,
so Zionists wanted
they
Hitler to succeed so they can get the Jewish state. Is
Essentially,
right,
to use a tragedy to further their political agenda.
Yeah, that's how politics
right,
work.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
Essentially Bondi Beach, but I'll touch on that later.
Yeah, and there's they kind of infiltrated a lot of different things if you study them. Um, so I think I'm had some notes here, and
well, while you look for your notes, I have to ask Drake a question. You say you were a Texas boy earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm from Houston. I don't know where you're from. You don't have to tell it.
Yeah, Houston.
that's cool.
Okay.
Neighbors. Awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm a
What is
mechanic
it?
too, man. I'm blue collar. I bust my ass. I'm a typical Southern blue collar white guy.
Mad respect for blue collar men. Mad
Hell
respect.
yeah, man.
If you don't mind me asking, are you in the southwest part of Houston or the north?
Northwest.
Oh, oh,
You guys are
oh,
making friends.
okay.
You
Some
guys see
business.
me? Yep.
Yeah, no, that's crazy because I grew up in Conroe, so like
Yeah, yeah. I'm in Magnolia. I grew up in Spring, but I moved to the sticks.
oh, dude,
Yeah,
neighbors. I live in Stafford.
yeah. We should grab a beer, man.
Oh, for sure.
I love it.
But like, I kind of want to piggyback off of that, like, because what I've noticed with Zionism and with Zionists, Greg Abbott kissed the wall like 2 weeks ago.
Shameful.
Absolutely shameful. So, like, when Red Door is telling us about, like, basically she lived through, like, the protocols of the Elders of Zion coming true to real life. And,
Well, actually, the learned elders of Zion were actually the hidden hand behind Hitler's rise to power. They colluded with him through their front organizations during World War II to drive the Jews from Europe to Palestine. So
well,
there was,
Wait, Red Door. So did the Jews help Hitler rise to power? Like, I think 1920s Weimar Republic. Hitler launched a revolt. Am I correct? Did they
mm,
help him with that, or?
yes,
like,
they did.
yes and no, because, like, with the Weimar Republic, like, there's actually a great docu series on YouTube called Hitler: The Rise of Evil, and it shows how like there were Jews that supported Hitler at the time, but there were also Jews that were like staunchly against him. So like what like my main question is, and I think Drake kind of summed it up perfectly, was the Holocaust, and I wish Alan was here because what Nick Fuentes, like, to go back to what the stream was originally about, like what Nick Fuentes is saying is like we need to be able to ask these questions without fear of uh, consequences, because with
Mm,
every other group we are able to ask these questions without kind of consequence. If I were to say to DA like, oh yeah, like Vietnam War doesn't matter, like the number toll is not right. No one would bat an eye. But as soon as we mention a certain select group and saying like, hey, like, why are we not allowed to ask about this, but we are allowed to ask about this? These are the kind of things that like make people in Drake's age group and Dango's age group. It makes them question like, if you lied to me at the beginning of the novel, how can I trust you at the end of the novel?
Mm-mm.
right. Well, one thing I think that people need to understand is also the connection of the UK, because Lord Rothschild was a Zionist. Okay, and then James Lord Balfour, who was the Foreign Secretary of Britain, sent a letter to Rothschild promising the establishment of a Jewish homeland in Palestine, and that letter became known as the Balfour Declaration. And it was the first recognition by a major world power of a Jewish homeland, because at the time the Jews were a minority in Palestine, and consequently they couldn't hope to control the area, which was their goal. goal. So they needed a large number of Jews to immigrate into Palestine in order to establish the process of Jewish conquest of the Middle East, which is their major goal. If they had their way, they'd wipe out the whole Middle East and
Well, they
take
kind of
over.
are.
Yeah, right. So, but the problem was that for the Jews was that they couldn't persuade Jews living comfortably and prosperously in Europe to immigrate to the third world of Palestine. So it was decided they'd be driven out of Europe, so they'd have no choice but to flee to Palestine. And then here enters Hitler and his Nazi final solution, which had as his objective not the total extermination of Jews, which is what is commonly believed, but rather driving the Jews from Europe to Palestine. So that's what happened. So you kind of have to, I because of where I'm from and my ethnicity, I always stand outside the circle looking in. I don't jump in and agree with everybody. And, I just stand outside the circle looking in and trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And if there's missing pieces, I try to find it. But there's a whole people don't understand all this stuff that took place behind the scenes, with the Zionist and Germany. So, you know, so, and this is the other thing the Zionist Jews not only worked with the Nazis to force Jews to immigrate to Israel, they also instigated other governments to persecute Jews in order to force their immigration to Israel. So they had this whole. So the fact that, it's a holy land, although it is, that wasn't the reason for. I mean, the Zionists just wanted Jews there, and then they filled in the rest of the story, because the close relationship between the Zionist Jews and the Nazis first comes into focus when one looks at the characters of who assisted Israel. That's why it's so important to go back and look at the details of history. And and then when you do that, then it's not a surprise to learn that the person that was most instrumental in establishing and training the notorious Mossad, which is Israeli military intelligence, was none other than Reinhard Gehlen, which was the former head of Hitler's Nazi intelligence for the Eastern Front. So see where all the relationships and the connections come in?
Mm, mm,
Thank you
mm.
so much.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I try to tell people this and they look at me like, and I'm like, look, when I came back from Germany, I moved to the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area, and still it was before the internet. So every Saturday I would take the train down to Washington, and I went to the National Archives so much they knew me by my first name. I would go in there and spend hours poring over documents and reading, and just trying to piece together You know, it's it's amazing. You know, sometimes when we think that, you know, we're taught certain parts of history, but unfortunately not all of it. You know, they just kind of gloss it over. And I mean, I remember in the 60s and 70s when, I mean, my mother was up in arms about Indian health services because during that time, about 65% of the Native women that went to Indian health services were sterilized without their knowledge. Well, if you want to get rid of people, the best way to do it is to sterilize their women so they can't have children, you know. So, um,
Again, you kind of like open the door to like another conversation. Like I feel like there's 7 different points to like talk about at this point,
mm,
but kind of like what you just said there was you're basically talking about eugenics.
yes, it
So
was
so and as someone that is indigenous American, I don't know what the correct term is anymore.
indigenous is fine.
So as
I'm Dakota Yankton I Sioux. That's my tribe.
Wow.
Mm.
so someone coming from the indigenous tribe, looking in from the outside perspective, what should young Americans like Drake and Dango, what advice would you give them to combat what is now what I consider the crisis of the Zionist infiltration of the U.S. government? What advice would you give these two young people that we have on with us about how to? And Drake's smart as hell. Houston like me, so I know he's smart. But how would you tell them to navigate this battle? Because I'm of the belief that World War III is currently happening. It's just spiritual. I think that Americans need more Christianity. I think that they need to find faith in something other than the current state. Because a lot of young people find that the progressive ideology is their church. So how would you, if like me and you were just sitting down talking to each other in a coffee shop, what would you tell them they should do?
Well, for me, it's you have to realize I am traditional indigenous. You know, I practice my traditional teachings and customs and all of that. I don't believe in organized religion. Uh, Um,
Well, can I go ahead and add how Zionism is affecting people my age and a part of my demographic today?
Go ahead, Drake.
It's
sure.
the issue that my demographic is seeing with Zionism is that it's infiltrating US politics. And my example of that is that we have Donald Trump, our president, and it's the same case for Republicans and Democrats on both sides. Our issue is that nobody's really listening to us. Nobody's willing to fight for us. We can't confide within anybody because both sides are dipped in to a deep, I guess, the donations are my issue with APAC in speaking specifically because Donald
Mm-mm-mm.
Trump has taken a recorded over $230 million from donators like Larry Ellison, Miriam Adelson, and they're well outspoken Zionists. The issue is that we all know You don't get $230 million without having to do some favors. They're infiltrating our domestic policies with foreign ideas. And the foreign goal of Zionism, yes, taking over Palestine, establishing a Zionist state for Jews, yada yada. I have no problem with Jews or Judaism. My granny on my mother's side was Hebrew, you know, like I have no issue with Jews at all. My issue is whenever foreign leaders are dipping into my politics at home, and it is affecting me, yes, because our money that we funnel into that war, it comes out of our paychecks in the form of taxes. Every time I get a paycheck, I'm gonna make over $100,000 this year, and I'm 25. My parents made less money combined when I was born, and we were able to buy a house. I
Mhm.
can't envision that for myself, and the only place I can put blame onto it is the issue that's taking the money out of my paychecks, which is ultimately being funneled into foreign wars. And that's what has people my age so frustrated and so outspoken in politics. I really feel like we need a lot more people like James Fishback who are willing to openly say, America first, this is who I'm for. I'm not taking money from foreign lobbies. I'm working for the people because this place was founded on by the people for the people. The people haven't had a say in since I've been born, really.
Yeah,
Right.
let
And
me
do you realize that half of our politicians in Congress have dual citizenship,
That upsets me,
US
yes.
and Israel citizenship? Why
Yes.
is that?
It's ultimately because they have money tied into us and they want us to work with them. That's how it is. We have deals arranged.
Yeah,
$230 million does not come without favors. And we all know
right.
that. We'd be stupid not to think that.
But like I told you, you know, how they, you know, how they work for their goals. I mean, the whole beginning of their relationship with Hitler, you know, and it's the same thing here. This they're just doing it on a larger scale with getting money. I get upset when this money is spent because I'm from the poorest reservation in the United States. The annual per capita income is $6,127
Is that per year?
per year,
Yeah, that's crazy.
annual. And it's it's a poor reservation. I mean, the houses are dilapidated. There's mold on the walls in the school, and it's just horrible. We don't get the funding or the resources we need. And as sad as it is, if you want to make it, you have to leave your reservation and your tribe. You have to leave your people. You know, it's horrible to say that, but um
I see what you're saying. So essentially, you're agreeing with, look, if you're American, you're American.
yes.
You aren't for anybody else. You're for America because the whole point of being an American is getting your American dream, really. And the American dream comes by helping support your community, doing a job that helps the community. Like, I mean, we have nurses, mechanics, lawyers, things like that. Like, if you benefit your society, your future is promised to you. But I feel like that promise, especially for young people, especially with the criteria we need to meet to be able to make sufficient money at a good job, it's really becoming more and more difficult for young people to establish a future for themselves reliably here now.
It
no.
is. I have three grandsons, so I trust me, I understand. You know
No,
what?
here's my opinion, right? I said this right, and I've always been a big supporter on America first. I always hate America's foreign policy. We should not give a shit what happens outside of America until America is number one. So I
Amen.
never cared about America's foreign policy. Now, this is my opinion. Where what I would say to young people, right? The problem is the divide. Okay, the problem is
Mm-mm.
when America was at its strongest was when we promoted family, when we promoted the when we promoted the middle class, when we didn't focus on racism, right? That was when America was as its strongest. Now we have divide between men and women, and we have divide between races, right? And that is why, in my opinion, this is why I talk about it the most, where I believe the true divide, okay, where we can control the government, where we can fight back against the government is the American people become stronger, right? Where you know what, we're not hating on women, women aren't hating on men, white people aren't hating on black people aren't hating on white people. This is the thing where I said, forget about the victimhood shit, right? Because again, this is how, in my opinion, how the government would do it, right? By subterfuge, right? By using, we care about what's happening between the men and women. We care about what's happening between black and white. So we're not thinking about how our government is going about things. And that's the core.
Mm-mm.
If we can change that up, we can totally, refocus our American system, our American culture. That's how I would promote more young people, particularly, young men and young women, to honestly focus on that, where we should unify. We shouldn't like hate each other because again, this is a thing where, we talk about this, right? Buying houses. If you made 100K, you got a woman that made 100K, that two combined, you can combine. But now we have women that make 100K. She wants a man that makes 200K, 300K, right? And that's not like, then because her mindset, she's too good for you. So that's the way we're promoting, where of course a woman that's your equal or maybe a little bit under you still don't want you because they think you're less than them.
I
And that's
agree. I think that's totally ridiculous. And a great example is my parents. You know, my mom makes about $500,000 a year, and my dad makes about 40 as a manager at T-Mobile, and they've been married for like 27 years now,
mm,
strong. And it wasn't always that way either. Like my mom and dad used to make the same money. But I really think this divide is manufactured in some way to benefit some party,
Um,
and it's tearing us apart.
I like
Totally agree.
to
what do
um
you think, Dangle?
ask uh Red Door, since you're Native American and you've known what discrimination is and systemized um abuse, how would you, I guess, how would you, because right now there's like the elites have their own agenda, and the rest of us Americans, we're not part of it. We don't benefit from it, from whatever they have planned out, and but they extract resources from us in order to achieve their goals,
Hmm.
and we're too busy infighting with each other, arguing about with small issues and making up new issues along the way, and trying to, I guess, not fight for, trying to like not lose, to be, I guess, to be the weakest rut and litter in the rut. Let's say, um, how do how do we switch to status quo? Because right now there's like, right now the elites, I guess, they lost the narrative, but everyone's united by their suffering and lack of hope for the future, but we don't know what to do. So what's the best way to go about things? Because right now I think a lot of people, we know there's something's wrong. Some people don't want to talk about it. Some people do, but none of us are able to do anything about it.
I think collectively ideology is to blame for the divide that's happened over the last 20 or so years. And the way to change that and the way to unify the people together as one is we need to figure out a way to encourage people to deny the ideologies that wound up separating us and dividing us. We need to sit down and realize, hey, where are we at right now? How did we get here? How do we get away from this? It's these specific ideologies that got us here. Oh, women need to work too, they're equal, yada yada. When realistically, you can take polls of women in every state from every demographic, rich, poor, middle class. These women, generally, if you would ask them, hey, would you rather work 50 hours a week and make 200,000 a year, or would you rather be married to a man that makes 300,000 and you get to stay at home and tend to the kids, tend to the house? A lot of them wind up picking the stay at home mom route because it's more natural to them. And I think our biology, we need to accept our biology. Like, yes, women are nurturers, women are caretakers. They love it. Their purpose is to, they birth the baby, they hold the baby, they have a relationship with their baby, that's their child, and they want to love and nurture that child. And that's something a woman is really, really good at when compared to a man in most cases. So if we can agree that both genders and different people have different roles and accept that, that would be the key to unifying people. I guess at least as like a male and female kind of conversation. Now white and black and all that. I would really love all of us to unify and just totally fucking throw out color of our skin as how we judge each other entirely, because that whole idea is so old. It's 2025. Like, really, let's move on. Come on.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's clear evidence that yes, the black demographic does have higher violence proportionally. Yeah, there's the school shooters are white, yeah, yada yada, but there's a lot more gang violence compared to school shooters. So the proportion that people need to sit there and accept, that's really important, and a lot of people are just unwilling to sit there and accept the proportion that's right in front of their eyes with real numbers, just because they got their feelings hurt because they're a part of that darker skin color. It really has nothing to do with what color you are. It's how do you act and react around other people.
Yeah, and then there's also it's not just ideologies too. I guess the elites, they're also using our vices against us too, like promoting the use of vices like drugs,
Absolutely, absolutely.
alcohol, hookup culture,
Mm,
um, just exism, hedonism, um, all types of addictions, porn addiction. Basically, it's just promoting the use of that, and also promoting kinks too as well. But that's a separate topic, but both ways, ideologies to distract us and vices to further distract us again, keeps us from looking closer at our living situation, and it makes us pretend that we're happy to be satisfied. But the thing is that most people admit that they're miserable. So yeah.
Well, I think they figured that out from a long time ago when we were put on reservations, and then because we couldn't, you know, trust me, a lot of reservations aren't in Palm Beach or Monterey, and we weren't able to do our traditional customs of hunting, and lots of times the land was, you know, not, set up for growing food. So the government would give us commodity foods, but the government figured out a long, long time ago that Native Americans have a problem with alcohol. And we do,
Mm-mm.
because genetically, and it's been studied by John Hopkins, that our liver and doesn't process alcohol like other ethnicities,
mm,
and we become addicted sooner. And in the commodity food, they would have these bottles. I have a picture of one and they would have these bottles called welfare whiskey. And, so, and just, it was just keep them down, get them addicted and keep them down. And, so we have the highest rate of alcoholism among any ethnicities in the United States. And I do think that the government does use vices against people and also uses those vices to tear people apart, and just with the crazy ideologies. I've been fighting feminism since the 70s.
Mm.
I have, I mean, it became so clear to me what was going on. It's like, I don't know, a window just opened up and I saw what the whole agenda was. And I used to say to everybody, we're heading down a slippery slope with this. It's going to destroy society. It's going to destroy the family. It's going to emasculate men. It's
Mm.
going to do all these things. And that's eventually what happened because, that's when you come from an environment. And it's funny because when I was little, if you went into town, the town closest to the reservation, we were called Prairie N-word. That's what we were called. Oh, here comes the Prairie Ends, and I didn't even realize that black people were called that until I think somebody showed me. In fact, the first black person I ever saw was a picture of Martin Luther King, which was hanging in the tribal office. So, it's, and this is the other thing is people are so willing to listen and believe everything and jump on some crazy bandwagon. It's this hive mind thing. I was brought up to be a nonconformist, and that's actually been my greatest gift throughout my life, and it keeps me from judging people. And I just loved meeting other people from other ethnicities and living in Europe and studying the history, and because it was fascinating to me, it's like, oh my gosh, these civilizations and these buildings and the architecture and um I mean, my tribe certainly didn't have anything like that. We were Plains Indians, and um but we do produce some things like beautiful beadwork and artwork and certain things, baskets and that type of thing. But I think that you know I younger people don't get together. They spend all their time on social media. It's I will say this about two of my grandsons came with their parents for Thanksgiving. Now, you have to realize that my son-in-law is black, so my grandsons are mixed, right? So they've got white, indigenous, and black in them. That's what they have. So, but the whole day they were here at my house and we talked about all kinds of things. they never once pulled out their phone. Never. You know, they weren't sitting there with the phone glued to their faces, and um, we had conversations about different things, and people need to get off the social media. You know, I just and
I,
and yeah, and look at these women on TikTok who goes and puts their entire life, all their woes and sorrows, and I don't know. It just blows my mind to listen to some of these women.
I do agree. I dislike how much people display their entire lives on social media, but one point I would like to make is that social media has given us an outlet for non-biased news that we just don't have anymore on standard TV news. You know, like the main networks that are on today, it's really hard to trust them because you just know that each network has its own bias and its own things that they want to drill
Hmm.
into your mind. When it comes to social media, you can see two different sides and even a third side whenever you look at news on social media because it's more driven by independent journalists than it is a company that's trying to make money off of views, you know?
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true. I
and
don't
kind of
watch TV, so I watch no TV at all.
That's healthy.
yeah, it's kind of like just kind of piggyback off of what Drake just said. Like me, you, and Da, we're older, we're elders. Like me and Da probably were first generation MySpace users.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
around for a little bit of MySpace.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't.
Probably the death of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
were
the death.
you were down. Yeah, you were there for like the death of it. But like what these young kids are dealing with today, and I think it's kind of like just our like elder mentality of like, oh man, these kids are so much on social media and everything. Like I have a homeboy that met his wife on Tinder.
Huh.
So yeah, and I know how that sounds, but like they are like been together 10 years and everything. So like
What?
yeah, 10 years they've been together. So it's kind of like what what I liked about the like what I wanted to ask Alan before he hopped off is like the battlefield is way different than our time, and the
Mm.
battlefield being in the digital age, how do we like Drake? If I can't give Drake the same red pill information I gave him or I got when I was his age, because when I was at his age, the red pill was in its infancy. So when you see how these kids are growing up, it's not that they're being like their vices are being targeted, they are being indoctrinated with vices.
Well, I mean, here's my thing where I'll go this again. Uh, this is why I respect Red Door is that I think, in my honest opinion, we should be fighting feminist ideology, modern feminist ideology, right? I think they are the promotion of hedonistic viewpoints, right? Individualistic viewpoints. Hookup culture, in my opinion, is birthed out of feminism, right? Situationships birthed out of feminism. At the end of the day, I think the family unit is what will bring back the strength of America. Will bring back the the high quality of Americans. And in my opinion, the biggest enemy of family is feminism. Right? I think that's the biggest enemy of our family today. And I also believe that the dangerous, or the left or democratic ideology right now is also, not healthy for the American people right now also. because they're not a group of people that really promotes the family unit, or do they actually promote America first? So I think those are the ideologies or the groups of people that we should definitely be vocal about. So I think that's the path we should take.
Um, I wanted to like ask
Daniel,
Redor another question.
go ahead.
I heard that in the night till up to like 1970s even, Native Americans weren't allowed to like write about and write about their like the myths and traditions and folklores. Is that correct?
No, well, we were we were not allowed to practice our religion, and that's our religious beliefs, and I wouldn't call them myths. Some are stories. Everything in our tribe was oral and handed down, but we weren't allowed to practice anything. The Hanblasia, the Hanipi ceremony, we just weren't allowed to. And if we were caught practicing our religion, we were arrested and put in prison. So I used to sit there and think, okay, this country was supposedly built on religious freedom, but we don't have any religious freedom. And then what happened in 1978, the American Indian Religious Freedom Act was passed. So that's when, all these books started coming out, and, we had all these new age, hippie-ish type people flooding the reservation, wanting to know all our secrets. And if I had $1 for every time every somebody asked me to make them a dream catcher, I'd be rich. So,
Hey, hey,
um,
Red, hey, Red
yeah.
Door. Can you make me a dream catcher?
So, uh, but
Well,
yeah, that's right. We weren't allowed to. Um, so, and now, we're allowed to share our stories and the history and all of that. So there's a lot more education.
well, let me ask you a question, Red Door, because like I'm a big fan of Viking history
Mm-hmm.
and kind of the customs and traditions between indigenous tribes and Viking tribes are kind of similar. So, what do the indigenous people say about, was Vinland real? Vinland, not Finland, like Vinla, like the reported first settlement between Vikings and Native Americans in North America. It said that they all got along great. So I just kind of
Well,
wanted.
I don't know. I've looked into some of that because I have a friend that's really into Viking history and stuff, and there's a place in, I think it's New Brunswick, that they've uncovered these Viking villages supposedly there, which but whether I don't know whether they got along or not. I can't imagine, because I don't know. I It just seems odd to me that they would get together and sit around a fire singing kumbaya. So, um,
Well,
you know,
because the cultures are so similar. Like if you were to look at like let's just say hypothetically speaking, like the Sons of Ragnar and how like Bjorn Ironside or Uba is probably the best example. Uba was just like respect the other culture, learn about the other culture, not necessarily be kumbaya, be willing to learn about that culture. And with like what's told about Native Americans is like, hey, like don't come to us with a sword and ask for peace, but we'll talk to you. Like there are definitely like some similarities between like Nordic countries in Europe and indigenous tribes in North America. So you're saying like you don't like necessarily know, but it kind of seems like there are parts of European history and Native American history that kind of like our traditions align in like kind of a way. And I'm not sure like if you guys believe in fate or not, but it kind of seems like it like was a fate, if that makes sense.
Mm. Yeah, it does. I'm just I mean, there's proof that the Vikings were here in, North America. Why they didn't stay, I don't know. Why didn't they stay and
Because the
build their
women
own
suck.
villages?
Because that's not the Viking way. The Viking way was like go to a new place, discover some things, take what information you can, and then go back home and teach your people. It was
Yeah, they
kind of
weren't nomadic, right? They weren't really nomadic kind of people, so they
yeah,
didn't settle other places.
yeah. It was always just like go learn, come back, and like teach what you learned. It wasn't like we're going to set up a flag in like
Yeah,
North
they weren't
Dakota.
settlers.
Yeah, they weren't settlers or colonizers. Like
They were gatherers
yeah,
in a sense.
Yep, yep.
like they just
All right,
wanted to learn.
no,
They were
guys.
more or less explorers.
Yeah, I mean, guys, we're gonna. I think that's it for tonight. All right, we're gonna end it off tonight. All right, so I want to give everyone some some of their last words. Red Door. Any last thoughts for tonight? Thank you for coming on
Um,
too.
yeah, I just think that people need to be kinder, and in my tribe we end every prayer with Madakiosi, which means all my relatives. And
Mm,
that's because on the medicine wheel, red, white, yellow, and black, which is the sign of our four directions, also represents the races of man. And because everyone's on the sacred hoop, we're all related one way or another. And that's I think people need to just not get hyped up about this stuff and just try to, we have core values in the tribe. We practice on, honesty, integrity, compassion. And so it's important to carry those throughout your life, because if you're going to be angry, if you there's all kinds of things to be angry about, but a lot of it is just propaganda.
mm,
Don't, get caught up in the propaganda and all of that. That's what's caused our problems, is all this propaganda.
mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. Drake, any last words? Thank you for being on tonight. You gotta come on
Yeah,
more
man.
often.
Look, it's been an absolute pleasure. Listen, I've always wanted to put myself on another person's platform and kind of test myself on how I can articulate myself and
Mm,
get my ideas across. Look, I'd really like to join you guys again another night and get some more ideas across, because there's some deeper topics that I would have liked to touch on a little bit more, a little more core issues that we have going on here. So
yes, yes.
look, it's been great. It's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you guys giving me the time to kind of platform my ideas. So
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. I really respect all of you.
I love it. I mean, again, I said this before, right? Every Wednesday, I do a panel show. So I want to give like-minded or even people who are disagreements a voice, because I think we shouldn't be living in an echo chamber. We
Yeah,
should.
absolutely. It's so critical that we talk to each other as Americans because the only way we can figure things out for each other is to talk to each other.
I mean, one of the things that I love about Charlie Kirk is that he said that if we don't talk, we're killing each other. So I think this is a thing where we
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
talk.
Once the talking stops, the violence starts, and we really need to recognize that. It's important.
Dango, I know that something's wrong with your phone, but please, I love that you were here tonight, right? So please join more often. I'm very I love the things you said. So please, guys, if you guys want, please join more often. Like I said, Wednesdays I do the panel show, right? The call-in show. So I want to give as many people as voices as possible because, again, like I said, disagree, agree. We should all be able to voice our opinions. I think that's very important as Americans, as people, right? We should be able to voice our opinions. So thank you, Dango, for being here, right? Thank you. Red Door. I'm sorry, Real Rain, my brother. Any last words tonight?
Drake. Drake hit me up on Instagram, same handle, Real Rain 89. We live in the same city, so let's grab a beer for sure. I just want
Yeah,
to say
yeah, for sure.
thank you, DA, for having me on again. And I just want to say, like, you know, what we're doing right now is what's going to cause, like, we're doing great things right now. And DA, thank you for giving us this platform to do it. And Red Door, thank you for sharing your experiences. Dango, thank you for coming on. Alan, thank you for coming on. And like, let's just like, we have a great thing going on Wednesday night. So everyone should just like, don't be scared to come on. Like, we're all nice, and th-
Yes.
this is what the internet was made for. So I'm loving it.
hmm I want to build a community, right, where we can be respectful, agree or disagree, but we should be able to talk to each other. This is the kind of community I want to bring. We'll be respectful to each other, and we just share opinions and ideas. I love it. Thank you guys for being
Awesome.
here.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
guys.
you,
Thank you.
Pillamaya.
Love you guys. All right, you guys are amazing. Later.
All right, take care. Have a good night, y'all.
Whew, you guys are amazing. Thank you guys for being here. Whiskey, I love you. Thank you for being here, my brother. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Steve, I love you, my brother. I love you. It's all good. It's all good. I mean, it's the young, right? We gotta be a little bit more understanding of the young. Okay, that's why I try to be a little bit more patient, but I try to keep Alan in check. Right, he's very spunky, as it were. Right, Alan's very spunky. He always wants to voice his opinion, which is fine. Right, he just doesn't have some decorum when he voices his opinion. Right? He likes to interject right away, and I want to be more. I want to create more respectful, right, atmosphere where we have the spotlight to just voice our opinions without interruptions, without you know so we can land the plane, right? And again, we're average people. We're not like, great debaters or great conversationalists, right? A lot of us stutter, a lot of us are long-winded, So I want to give everyone a chance to finish their thought, finish their words, right? So it's all good, but Alan definitely needs to, rein it in. But Dango, thank you for being here, my sister. Right, I love the things you said. So please come on more often. Right, Real Rain, you're amazing. Big Bars, I love you, my brother. I love you. So don't right. Alan was, doing his thing. It's understandable. Right, it was not. I know you weren't trying to debate him. Right, just having a conversation, just letting out your feelings. So that's why I was trying to rein him in, because again, you weren't here for a debate. You're just here to voice your opinions. So I didn't want a back and forth with you and him. So that's why I try to stop that. Anyone else? Anyone else? I think that's it for tonight. France. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Mr. Smith, you are amazing, my brother. Thank you for being here. I think that's it for tonight. I think that is Dark Clorox. All right, Dark Clorox was here. Thank you. You're amazing. Laughing Man, I love you. I love you, my brother. Artie, thank you for being here. You guys are amazing. All right. No, yeah, Ali means well. I do. He means well, but he tends to be a moral relativist, right? Takes things personally. I agree, right? He does, and we shouldn't be taking things personally, right? And plus, it's like not everyone wants to debate, right? I just want to give people I'm here, right? I'm willing to debate. I'm willing to debate, willing to have a back and forth conversation, but not everyone who comes on wants to have a back and forth conversation. So I just want the guests to just be able to voice their opinion, because I think that's a good thing for people to have a spotlight to, say what they want to say. So that's my thing. But Dango, right? Much respect. Thank you for being here. I mean, like, we are like, and I love that you're Vietnamese, right? Vietnamese and Chinese, we got, I love it, right? A true sister. So I love it. Definitely hope you come on more often, right? Again, like I said, right? Wednesdays, I try to do as much as I can. Wednesdays will be a call-in show. If we get bigger, right? If we get bigger, more people, I want to do more call-in shows. But right now, I want to Wednesdays call-in shows, right? You guys have a spotlight. You guys get to voice your opinions. You can react to things with me. We definitely went a bit of a tangent, like we didn't do the Nick Fuentes thing, but that's fine, right? I didn't mind that. I wasn't I didn't I wanted tonight's show to be more fluid. So it's not strict, we didn't have to follow, the way it was. So, it's all good, right? But yeah, you guys are amazing. I love you guys. All right. So see you guys later. Bye. Please check out my other stuff, right? Please check out my other videos. Like the videos,